Welcome back to the Verizon VCT Game Changers presented by Dignitas. I am Sajidine. Once again, joining me is the always fabulous A Evil Cat and Tanner Metro, and we are here to bring you the second best of three for today. But prior to that, let's quickly touch base. What happened to the series prior to this? It was CLG Red taking it 2-0 against Just Breathe, and as expected, that's going to be how they are going to move into this through the upper bracket. Just Breathe will drop to the lower, so where they will continue to fight for their lives to stay in this tournament because they are battling it out for that $50,000 prize pool. It's going to be crazy, but before we go completely too into it, I'd like to get a little bit word from our casters, the voices of my stream right here. We have TSM versus GX3 coming up right now. Let's go a little bit into what the crowd favorites is. We do have the head-to-heads coming up onto your screen as well. We do have, I believe it is the favorite Madison over Emily, but that's okay. You're looking at the rosters here. Okay, let's get a little bit familiar. Mimi, go over the roster of TSM. I know you're very familiar with them, so give us a little bit of a background of what to expect with these ladies.
Yeah, so TSM, it's a squad that in that previous VCT Game Changers event, they were not looking too good. I think they finished maybe like a 4th, 6th place, something like that, kind of middle of the road. And for a big org, that was strugglesome, but now they've picked things up. They come back in a big way, winning and placing at some of these kind of smaller women's tournaments and looking good. But in way of the roster, it's Athena, Emily, Zoe, Kath, and Leah Panda. Of course, Zoe and Emily, they were together on, I think it was Team Sincere, who were playing in some kind of Valorant stuff together in like the Gen G Proving Grounds, where they took home that 2nd place. Then TSM saw them, took them in, and then kind of built this roster around those two players, as well as CS veterans Athena and Kath. In that previous one, they were playing with the Ringer in way of Ari Anarchist, but now they have a fully committed signed 5th in terms of Leah Panda. So it's a roster that's kind of been under some turbulence, but they seem to have centered out now. It's Kath kind of committed into this IGL role at this point, and also as that team captain. And thus far, it's a team that I kind of have high hopes for coming into this tournament.
Perfect. And very well said. Oh, I was gonna say Tanner. I wanted Tanner to cover the GX3 girls a little bit before we dive into the head-to-head. But hey, if you have something to say about TSM, get it out of your system. I'm all for it. Let's go.
Sag, we're one brain cell is all I've got, but we are one wavelength. Whereas I was gonna say that just leaves me with GX3, right? Which is, you talked about it. Girls Got Game, GX3. They've been around for a really long time. This roster, though, for Valorant is just recently getting put together. And if you were watching the open qualifiers, there were some names that stood out. One of them being Madison, who was just absolutely cracked. The way that they play the game as well, they've got these interesting takes on the game. They're doing things a bit differently, right? We've seen their Haven composition, and sometimes it gets a little frustrating, and I don't want to give away too much, but it's obviously no secret that they play that post-plant style so incredibly well. You've got Jan. Again, if you haven't seen these interviews, I really, really, really highly encourage you guys to go take a peek at this because they break down the team so well. You get a little bit of an insight, but Jan is like their Zoomer player who also plays the Brimstone very well. Ali Monster, Lacey, Maddie, and Animal, another big name that was once playing with the CLG Red squad, now playing with this GX3 squad. They look really strong. The only problem is this is a rematch, right? So we've seen how confident they can be, against the Serenity Purples and teams like that. Now coming back into this one, we really need to see the same confidence.
For sure. And coming into this, the two players that we chose head-to-head to watch right now would be Madison and Emily, both on those Jet players. Can we do a little bit of a breakdown here, Mimi, on what you expect to see between these two coming into the maps and how they perform in this series?
Yeah, so I feel like these players, they have a similar play style, but the history is a little different. For Emily, this is kind of her first game where she's made it deep into the comp scene, but she's a young player. I think she's 16 or 17, similar to like your Jazzykins or any of these other just kind of Zoomer, crazy Jets players. She can sometimes suffer from a bit of inconsistency, but when she gets going in these games, when she gets that operator in her hands, she can absolutely pop off. And on that other side, Madison, she has a little more experience. Previously playing with Gen G, she was a pro Fortnite player for them, and then made the run with Awa Awa, which was kind of the like part Gen G, part kind of Pug Stack, like a bunch of different players put together for the previous VCT, but they made it into the top 8 here. And she's just been looking good in that Serenity Purple game. She was just tearing through them, I think dropping 30 on both maps. So both these players really huge fraggers for their squads and kind of slot nicely together as both being like kind of Jet 1 tricks who will occasionally flex onto that stage.
And they beat me to the punch here as we get that refresh on. I was gonna say we were leaving a blank canvas for these ladies to really show up here in terms of numbers, but now we get to take a peek. And yeah, it's I don't want to speak to both players' age when I say this, but the Zoomer style, the kind of get in your face tactics all the way out the window, and you just play full confidence, full aggression, full gap closing, and just in your face style. That's what both of these players are looking to do. We obviously have the Jets highlighted here, which is what we saw in the first series, and I don't think we shied too far away from that one. Again, the first blood percentage I think is absolutely huge in a series like this. So I'm going to be paying attention to not only both of these players on their respective roles, whether it be the Jets or not, but how they're able to then kind of be that tip of the spear, that tip of the iceberg for their squad to open things up.
For sure, and I do believe we have the map picks and bans already in, ready to go. No Breeze this time around, which, I mean, if you're a Breeze fan, first of all, what? I'm just kidding. I do enjoy that map. But we are going to see Icebox, Split, Ascent. I break this down for us, Tanner, like as far as who picked what and who banned who, what's going into this, like with TSM coming in to start with their selection.
Yeah, so we have TSM banning out Haven. The bind ban comes out from GX3, and then Breeze is obviously just kind of left by the wayside. And then when you take a peek at where we're headed, Icebox, Split, Ascent. So it's TSM Icebox, GX3 Split, and then TSM Ascent there at the end. Now, this is, like I said in the last one, a rematch, and these are the exact same maps that we're seeing. I don't believe it's the same order. I think in the last one where TSM came out on top 2-1, they started off on Split. And that was where GX3, I believe, took that map. So now starting on it second here, you have a really large statement to make, which we've already seen one today. So who's to say that GX3 doesn't come out with something crazy and take Icebox over TSM?
Yeah, who knows? There could definitely be some creativity in this one, but I think we do have our agent select queued up here, Sach.
Absolutely. We have the SIG agent select coming at you very soon. So with that, I'm going to pass it off. Mimi, Tanner, take it away.
Yeah, so looking in at this SIG agent select for GX3, they're kind of playing to their tried and true. Annie playing into that Sage, Maddie stuck in with the Jet, and Jan working on the Reyna. The previous time we saw GX3 on this map, they did lose out to TSM, but I was still liking what we were seeing. Jan, she's very much a lurker, kind of a flank watcher on the Reyna, whereas Maddie is just kind of fully committed to being that entry, to being that space maker, and well, Ali's Viper is pretty sick. But if we kind of glance on over to that TSM side, it's a pretty comparable composition here, just changing out that Reyna for Kath on the Raze. Raze definitely a comfort pick for Kath. She's really good on this agent, and I like that TSM is kind of bringing that double dive in way of their duelists, because they're a team that's very aggressive. They're very, I almost want to say Valorant-y, in that they just take things right into your face. They're not always defaulting. They're not always playing slow. They're a team that's not afraid to get aggressive. So as we do fly on over into Icebox here, I feel like this match definitely going to be the one to set the tides, as it's upper bracket life on the line for TSM and GX3.
And we got Again, the rematch here, after being sent down to that lower bracket, it was GX3 taking on Serenity Purple, and Icebox was the first map there. The composition looks exactly the same, but I would imagine the fierceness is a bit different, right? The last time we saw this GX3 squad on this map, Maddie went 36-3. So if you can keep that same energy, Maddie, I think things are going to bode very well when it comes to kind of zoom in. You've got both Jen and Maddie doing that on the Duelist. They're starting on the attacking side, which probably gives them a bit of an advantage to play their fun, quick, Valorant-y play style. And then you can rely on your second half in that defense to play a bit more lockdown. But here we go. Smokes are out. Poison clouds are up. The game is now underway as it looks like a play out towards mid, but it's going to be sniffed out nice and early. Emily going to be pushing up aggressive. Kath right behind, though. Maybe not expecting both here. The GX3 roster is Annie still stuck inside the spawn, so a very slow approach to this one, but both players here playing aggro are going to get spotted out as it's going to force everybody over towards the B site, right into the welcome arms of the Viper and Zoe here on the B site.
Zoe very good at anchoring down when she is revealed. Spots out at least 2 and is comfortable with this information. Will fall back. Has this passive wall for the retake, but Madison hot on the trail here, hunting forward, and TSM just committed to playing this retake.
And we've got both of those toxic screens here. One for the defense, one for the attack. So it's hard to push out from Yellow, and it's hard to push out from Snowman. So the middle of this site is really kind of no man's land here for a moment as those toxic screens are up. Poison Orb down as well, which tells me they're looking to play the post plant in GX3. But if you're GX3, you have the spike in hand. Everybody's still alive in this game, and there's only 30 seconds on the clock. Mimi, it looks like they'll finally make a decision out towards this B site. That spike looking to get planted. Barrier Orb is there. There's that snake bite that should push everybody away. And Emily going to be the first on the board. Annie taken down. That's your heal. That's your slow. That's your resurrection. Later in the game, you don't want your Sage falling as the flank gets taken care of by Jan. A 4v4 situation with the spike being diffused. Lacey heads up play with the recon bolt, able to spot one and still working against the clock of this TSM roster. Finally, Lee able to get something done. Athena hops on the board. Jan still working on the flank, but now it's all up to Jan. Completely overhealed here with one weak member to worry about. Now being healed up is Leah Panda. They're still waiting off the spike. Finally to be tapped. Finally the kill will come through and TSM get it done in the pistol.
Jan loves playing that flank watch. She did find Kath trying to work a flank of her own, but Jan then was already known, trying to make that flank, trying to make that clutch happen. But TSM are clearly aware of that because I've watched 2 GX3 VODs on Icebox, and practically every B round, Jan is always doing it. This is a squad that does sometimes tend to kind of fall into routine, and we saw there that routine just wasn't working out. Good retake out of TSM as they'll find themselves a buy into the second. It's just the pistols up for GX3. Jan has upgraded onto the Sheriff, so just maybe trying to get some damage dealt.
Toxins going up.
And the kill's fairly spread out there in that pistol. We'll see who can pick him up in the anti-eco. And opting into the Sheriff this time around. And we know what Jan can get done. Maddie right beside her as once more it's another mid play-ish. It's hard to call it a play because they're on this anti-eco, so you can't really get a whole lot done. But this tells me that they're quite possibly looking to put a lot of pressure out towards mid, which at the very least, it forces the barrier orb to be used inside a tube here on the defense. As one shot comes through, Athena to back away and use that healing orb on a teammate. For 2 players to worry about inside the tube. The shots come down. It's a 1-for-1 inside a kitchen, but across the map thus far, GX3 find themselves down 2 players as they creep on up towards this B side. A poison cloud to worry about right in front. A completely overhealed Jan as Zoe picks up 1 cap.
Spike
And back things up
B.
for another. Near flawless here as the round slowly starts to come to a close. It's a 1-for-1 there at the end. Jan will fall. Damage onto 2 has been done, but it's a second round picked up for TSM.
I like that investment onto the Sheriff for Jan. She got 2 kills in the first round, so she'll have money here regardless, and she gets a little bit of damage in. Makes this bonus slightly less strong for TSM, but regardless, they come out on top of it. And for GX3, the question is, are they going to keep up with the slow play? Because from what we saw of them previously, this is a team that really likes to feel out their opponents. They start things off nice and slow. They lean into these defaults, try and see if aggression is going to come, which I think balances out TSM pretty well, because TSM, like we mentioned, they are a squad that likes to get in your face. It likes to take the advantage, especially on a bonus round like this, as we see see 2 posture forward towards that A site, as well as 2 up forward towards B.
And when you're that player that goes down in that anti-eco, it always puts you in a weird spot, right? Do you force up like we saw previously from CLG? They bought the rifle into the round and they knew that their full buy in round number 4 would be hindered just a bit, or do you just buy the pistols around it? Zoe hanging out with Spectre in hand, still able to hold down the B site all by themselves. That toxic screen getting a whole lot of work done, and Ali yet to invest hers. That poison orb has been used out towards mid. Unfortunately, you can't really feint to play that way because Kath is playing inside the tube. Now it's going to be up to Jan here. You see those sheriffs in hand. That means they did not buy up around this one, so they're looking to play for full rifles in round 4. Lear comes through. Emily forced to dash away as Maddie finds the first kill. Sage down. That's the sheriff off the board. The Batman shots come on through, and this is where Maddie comes alive. The high ground taken. The kills taken, as well as Lacey pops on the board. And I believe it's just a Ghost and a Spectre in terms of arsenal for this TSM roster to try and get something done in the 2v4. Shots through the wall, not going to find enough to take Maddie down. She will take her leave. That recon, or that owl drone, excuse me. It's all the information they need. The spike planted, and at this point for TSM, they're just hoping to do damage.
And damage last player standing here, and for GX3, well, that just feels like a Madison with Maddie so aggressive. This is what we love to see out of her, especially when she is playing the Jet, because I kind of discussed branded GX3 as a team that likes to take things slowly, but the reason they can do that is because when they get to these executes, they have Maddie. She's the player to set that pace. She's the player to dash on in and instantly garner a sight for you and the rest of the squad as well. So good to clean up the post plants in that round. It was Animal to find her way to the board. Now, TSM, though, they will have a buy back in. No operator up for Emily just yet, but it's the rifles to work with, and unsurprisingly, Emily looking to take a fight. Kath in for support.
And you talked about Jan really like watching the flank, being on flank watch, looking to flank herself, especially in those post-plant positions, but a lot of the time will be that lurker out towards A as well. So they're putting a lot of pressure on Jan to kind of get some information out towards A to also win the fights should they come her way. And she has been doing that, right? Top in the leaderboard thus far, whereas we just saw Maddie finally get on the board with 2 huge kills. Very impactful to find those first couple. As again, it's a split. Jan hanging out over towards that A side. Ali there as well. And it's that Viper utility still hung on to. Only the Poison Cloud used early in this round to cover up mid. And when you only have one controller, that's typically where we see it. Now that toxic screen comes down, we'll start to see this site split in half. We'll see how the response is. Shots through the wall, though. Gonna take down the barrier orb and delay the spike plant for now. GX3, they're looking to get something done here. Unfortunately, Athena coming out ahead. One quick kill here towards the B site, deter the squad from pushing any further.
Poison orb emitting.
GX3 still has this
30 seconds left.
resurrection to work with, and it looks like they are trying to bring Jan back into the picture. That they will. Athena, all the spam dishes damage, but no frag to follow off of it. So A site is the meal of the day for this GX3 squad, but TSM will be here quickly to defend.
A very fast rotation. Once that resurrection comes through, they know it's right outside. Now they have to get that spike down, and the wall has already been invested. Boombox to go through.
Spike
His one as the kills get flooded on the kill feed. It's 3 quick, going the way of GX3. 2 remaining. Zoe on the flank, though, could get heaps of value. Spots that one, takes him down. Spots Jan as well, and now it's all up to Annie with 14 HP. The sound cues are there. The leap on over to Pipe. Zoe can find the shots on target. No, it's Annie instead, but Leah there to bring up the rear, back up her fallen foes, and win yet another round for TSM.
Huge plays there out of Zoe. She loves to be a little bit of a rat sometimes on that Viper, and she does it excellently in that round. She was always that anchor in towards B, and I like her decision making there. She anchors down the B side as long as possible before pushing, finding that information, provides the hammer to the anvil of her squad on the site. And now for GX3, I wouldn't hate to see him pick up the pace a little bit here, because in that round, if they had even had just like 10 more seconds to work with there, I think they could have come out on top, because they were just kind of forced into this rush. They were forced into this last second play. It doesn't work towards their favor. And now Emily, well, she's trying to make a play forward, grabbing this orb up for the Blade Storm, which, well, that makes me think maybe we have an operator on the cards here soon.
Both Blade Storms popped here in this round. TSM definitely in a better position in terms of ultimate economy. Viper's Pit used out towards that B site. It really corrals the GX3 team to really go anywhere else except for B long. You don't really get to split like they have been. You're forced to go up through mid. Poison Cloud is there, and they can look to make a play out through it. And obviously, unbeknownst to them, nobody on Boiler. But Athena just around the corner, making sure and nobody pushes up for free. And if you're going to play through mid, everything is being watched, right? Underneath Tube is being watched by Kath. Athena very close here, playing towards screens to make sure there is no play out towards mid. And a footstep sound like possibly heard as the Lear goes through. Maddie looking to push on in now. Might have to go over the top of the wall. Not going to do so just yet. They're trying to play quick. They're trying to burst in, Mimi, but there's just no way to do it. The one thing that you said they need to do, TSM, read it perfectly and stop it from happening. Annie taking off the board. Kath able to find another. Zoe up close and personal with the judge, but it's Kath for 3 on the round, and GX3 falling apart here. No way in and maybe no way out. Maddie finally picks up one of the Blade Storm, has the resets, able to find another. Now things are looking doable in terms of kills, but the spike is down on the ground and they're running out of time. They just took way too long to get anything done there as TSM find another.
They had the B site for a moment there, but TSM was always wary. It was a matter of containment for this squad because they just held players directly outside of the site, waited for full support to come forward. That's when the crunch came out. Well controlled from TSM. We're seeing that experience. We're seeing that discipline. And I like that GX3 are taking this tack timeout soon. Don't let the round spiral out of control. Don't let this half spin in TSM's favor. They have this moment to strat out what they need to change.
And this is, it's tough to take a tactical timeout like this because you've already kind of been going. So I guess it really doesn't hurt that bad, right? Ideally, you would, a timeout like this could kind of freeze the momentum. It's been hard to gain any momentum. And I feel like they've had a lot of time to try and adjust on the fly. They just haven't been able to. I don't know if this timeout is helping GX3 more than it was previously, or if this is a really good time for TSM to just get another solid read on this squad. And with the blades being used in the last one, it definitely stings. You put a lot of weight into that Hunter's Fury in these next few rounds.
Gun here.
You can't hang on to that for the post plant if you're lazy. You know, that's something that you need to try and find a tag and find a kill, because that's the only way you're going to get an opening against TSM. Everything else has just been so incredibly oppressive. And I'm never, ever, ever a fan, Mimi. T1 likes to play like this a lot. I'm never a fan of running that clock down, because then when stuff starts to hit the fan, that spike drops in a weird spot, you're working against the clock, and everything kind of flies out the window. So what's the timeout for in a situation like that? Or if you're going to let the clock run down like that, as we see another stack up towards the B site. This time it's going to be an eco buy for GX3 as they look to do anything they can. But again, Zoe and Kath on the side is who they'll have to worry about. Maddie gonna be the first to fall, and the hit now underway as that toxic screen goes through. It forces them off the site. Unfortunately for GX3, there's no freeway on just yet.
And all Kath information that there's players back towards yellow. They're trying to force forward, but you can just see this Viper utility coming in and out from Zoe, completely keeping the squad at bay. And while Kath will just swing forward for one, GX3, they have no way out, just trying to find some shots with the Sheriffs. And Ali will get a singular one, but how much more can they get done?
One screen goes up, the other goes down, so things, again, a whole lot harder here for GX3 as Zoe takes some shots out towards that B long gray box area. They're gonna go up on the ropes and get caught out on bunch. Unfortunately, now pushing through the screens was Ali, but Leah there to answer back for 2 quick kills. Zoe started things off and will close things out. Another round to TSM. But Mimi, we had a pause, we had an eco round. Now we get rifles in the hands of GX3, and we'll see how much they were able to get, how much information they were able to gather, how much confidence they were able to muster in taking that timeout and now trying to take the fight to TSM.
Yeah, I think they've realized now that Zoe is really the sole anchor in towards this B site, so they're trying to abuse that fact. But the thing is that this wall she keeps throwing, so initially when it's up, it keeps them at bay towards main, and then she can fall back. Her second line of defense is that one-way poison orb. And finally, if she gets any further, there's another wall to work with, and well, Emily, she's attempting some aggression and somehow is alive. Tailwind away, they're trying everything to take her down, but Leah Panda, her ult does a little bit better, finds Ali. GX3, I think they had the right play there to try and shut down, but it turns against them in such a big way.
And a resurrection used as well, so 2 ultimates opt in this round for GX3 as Zoe just goes, grabs a bit of information, knows that they're still playing out towards their spawn, and will head back towards that B site to be that sole anchor. The Hunter's Fury used aggressively, that's what I said, and I love to see that. The only problem is, when you're on the attacking side of the Hunter's Fury, you're kind of guessing. You don't really know where to send it, whereas the defense have a general idea of where you're going to be corralled because you only have so many ways to get into this site, whereas on the opposite end, the defenders could be anywhere on the site. So a really tough turn there, or the unfortunate series of events for GX3. Not able to find anything just yet. Through the wall, though, they're able to grab a kill back. And again, the resurrection was used. Now the Viper's Pit and a resurrection going to be used in response. So all 5 for each team still on the map. Annie playing inside the Viper's Pit, trying to back away as the paint shells from Cat push everybody off. Ali gonna play nice and tight like right by. Oh, that's so unfortunate. The one person you cannot have die in the Viper's Pit is your Viper, and that's exactly what happened. Calf comes up huge with the boombot kill.
Yeah, look, the wall's still up. Okay, they're even trying to fight forward.
And a showstopper to boot. Calf getting a lot done in this round, but a whole lot traded back. Maddie, Jan, Lacey not giving up just yet. The spike gets tapped once more. The recon bolt going to be taken down. It's an operator in the hands of Emily, excuse me. They're running out of time. Somebody's got to get on that spike. Somebody's got to do something right here, right now. But the round will go the way in all of the chaos. The saves come through, and GX3 will pick it up.
Emily kind of struggling to find some impact early on here with the operator because she is just working against these retakes, and in that chaos of Viper utility, there's no clean shot to be found. I liked what Zoe was doing there with the wall to try and fight in from the retake, but unfortunately for them, GX3, they just had a little too much stall potential, so good opportunity for GX3 to find their way onto the board, and we know how strong their post plant is, Tanner. We got to watch that in the qualifier, so as long as they can get this spike down, they really set themselves in the right direction, and I definitely think that the B site is the main place to do that, as again, they're trying to abuse this location.
And Jan actually opted to play inside the spawn. Does get spotted out there, but once more, it's that Reyna. Just making sure there is no lurk to come on through. And we get a general idea of what the economy looks like for TSM. A stinger in the hands of Zoe. Sheriffs across the map out towards that snowman position. Snakebite going to be queued up once more, and the shock dart sent out as they really just buy a whole bunch of utility. And I kind of faulted a GX3 for doing this previously, where they use that wall on the B site and they rotate towards A. But with that wall, they basically no longer need it on the A site, because unless they're going to push right into the fight, all the utilities taken off the board. The snake bites, the shock darts, all of that was used on B. So you can plant really wherever you want on A and not have to worry about that being tossed at you. So it really is a heads-up play, and unfortunately, speaking of heads-up, gonna go wide there, split the uprights on 2 as Kath in the tight angle is gonna get caught out by Maddie. And this GX3 squad with 5 still remaining, gonna push their way onto the A site.
30 seconds left.
This really has to be Emily to get a kill here with the operator. If she's not able to, the rest of her team just on these pistols, and the round falls apart. Retake now into play. The op does fall. That's a crucial loss for TSM. I imagine they'll just try and grab that weapon and get away. And well, that's exactly the call. Round is already over. Zoe likely still going to look for some exits, but GX3 find their way up to 3. And you kind of called out that Viper play early on to cover the cross. I thought that was really nice for them to force out the utility from TSM, but then the orb in middle was even more impactful. You saw like very early in the round, Emily was actually doing that sneaky sage wall boost where you kind of have a corner of the wall sticking out past tube and you sit on top of it, but it fell in time. She was trapped behind the orb, so GX3, they get that free rotation, they find their site, and with just the 0 off, it's never going to go too well. Yeah,
they're able to hang on to it once more. So going into this one, they should have an okay buy, I would assume. We'll see. It looks like 2,900 credits on Athena, who has the half shields from that previous round. With that save, I mean, the economy still looks pretty bad. It seems like he is looking to find a way on in. If you buy for her in a situation like this, wow, they're just going to buy up a Spectre. So, I mean, these last 2 round wins, not only impactful in the terms of the momentum and kind of the mental for GX3, but the economy has been struggling for TSM. Now, although you have a weaker buy, you kind of cut off a sight here. This is what we've seen previously, where you have to either push through mid, which gets awfully spooky, or you have to be forced onto the A site, so you can kind of reinforce wherever you need if you're TSM. The Owl Drone only spots, not even really spots out one, but does get taken down by the one that you're assuming to be the Viper on the site.
Ath holding in this pit and very sneaky in this position. I'm going to be curious if GX3 actually wants to push this matter, because it seems like it could be a bit of a mistake. However, in towards A, there is still the anchor in the way of Emily for them to take care of. And a Tanner, again, they're running down the clock. They've never had success when they do play this slow, and they're waiting for TSM to make a mistake, but TSM has the perfect setup. They have players in the pit, they have everything in the right direction. There's no reason for them to aggress this, but Zoe's looking the wrong way. Can't do a ball, but Cat's in a position, gets double 3. Now for the raise, but the resurrection's there. Evens the odds back up, and GX3 have found the site.
That was beautifully done. A nice little bait and switch there. Maddie going up top, just kind of spraying through, trying to grab the attention. Hey, look up here, look at me. While Lacey pushed on through and was able to find those kills. Kath obviously being an absolute beast for another 3 kills, which is exactly what we saw previously with that Viper's Pit. It was Kath right behind Zoe, holding it down. Now the Barrier Orb going to be used in response, trying to get the defuse to come on through. Athena might just stick it here. They're trying to play the post plants. There's a shot coming on through. You can see the spike is being diffused. There's just nothing you can do about it. The kills start to flood on through. Ali, the last one standing, but the round to TSM.
I've noticed that Ali never uses her poison orb when she plays the post plant. It was this enough damage to stop someone from halving it. You can get it half when there's no poison orb. You get that out, and well, it was just the stick to come through out of TSM. So I don't know. I don't think I necessarily want to see Ali change that, but it's just something they have to be aware of. It's something they have to fight off of, because you don't get quite the same amount of time in that favor.
Yeah, now things being switched up just a bit. It's a bit more mid control this time around for GX3, and man, your team having the only players alive but still losing the round is so disheartening going into the next. Obviously, you can see everything is there except for getting that one player off of that spike. So we'll see if things continue moving an upward trajectory here for GX3. Speaking of upward, they look to go up towards 2, but Jan's able to find that kill, top herself off with the Devour there, so 150 HP, fully healed on the Reyna. Unfortunately for Maddie, a bit worse for wear, 23 health, and I think that Sage is still hanging on to that healing orb, or doesn't have it. Another 25 seconds before Annie can top off her Jet.
They're trying to make this rotation in towards A. They've just let Maddie alone to try and be that anchor, deny a rotation out from mid. I like the play, because you can definitely get something done, but for TSM,
30 seconds
all
left.
with Emily. Playing this off angle alone, she has the tailwind to get out, but needs to go huge.
And Emily pushes forward past the Lear, not going to be blinded any further as Lacey looks to bring up the rear with the rest of the squad. A shock dart comes through. Legolas Impression is able to find the kill. Emily will fall, and there's one on the flank as well. Now that spike looks to get planted, and Maddie on the flank is an absolute problem. Snake Bites looking to push the team away. Cat able to find one with the paint shells. The flank gets answered almost immediately. It's a judge in the hands. The weapon swap comes on through, and the credits are there. Everything and more for Zoe to be able to send it here on this round. Hops up to get the high ground, pushes on through, able to spot out Ali, but not able to find the shots off the top ropes. Another round the way of GX3, and that's how they want it to go.
We talked about the strength of GX3 being when they play slow, and when they mid-round it a little bit more, and that's exactly what we saw. They put that pressure in towards mid. They left Maddie there to kind of keep the noise up, to keep TSM contained, and Emily, she only went 1 for 1. That was crucial, allowed the plant to come down, and despite Zoe's best efforts, it just wasn't around that was going to happen. So kind of pulling back to the bigger picture here, that's going to reset TSM onto the save, and it's going to set GX3 up for at least 5. This half getting very, very respectable for this attacking squad.
I love that Lacey just kind of disrespecting the Sage there, saying, go ahead and take your shots. I still need to grab some information. It seems like another eco round for TSM, but the Blades online would be something huge. This is also, again, you know, we talked about these unsigned teams not really having the experience behind it, but even for some of the signed teams, there's a lot to prove, so the pressure is absolutely there. It all depends on how you look at it. As Ali finds that first kill, Zoe can go and spot it for just a moment, but shot through the toxic screen. GX3 not going to give up anything for free here. Dotting their I's, crossing their T's, getting the spikes planted, getting the kills they need, and quite possibly another round here on an anti-eco. It's looking like, not going to jinx it just yet, as Cat is bringing up the rear. A classic in hand, and a whole lot to get done in front of her.
Showstopper up. I doubt she wants to use it, but she should get a freebie here. No, timing eludes her. Maddie walking past, so half damage, just the name of the game. And GX3, they're on to 5 now. They'll have ults into the next. B site seems to be their dominion.
Flawless.
Oh, there it is. It's the secret lab flawless at the end. I thought maybe Kath could get something done with her back turn. Maddie hits the 180, finds a kill there at the end to close things out. All 5 remain for GX3, but here we go. Last round, completely even. Going into the next half, we can look at things 0-0 if GX3 pick this one up, and a lot of momentum riding behind this one. And Emily, once more, Mimi, as an operator in hand, and I think you got to make me a believer here, Emily. You got to make me a believer.
I believe. Convex op, it's time. This is where Emily shows up and has her opportunity. Because TSM needs this. It's a defensive-sided map. That's normally their stronger side, and they're on the verge of going even. Jan finds the entry. TSM still trying to fight this in the nade. Might just finish off Maddie. No, she lives, but with very little HP. As TSM will back up, and Emily will go in. You doubted her, but here she goes. One frag, tailwind away, so it stays this 4v4.
And no resurrection available on either side. One, because the ultimate just isn't ready for Annie. And Athena was the player to fall. So resurrection could have been there. Unfortunately, will not. But we do still have that Hunter Shuri, so the post plant still very alive for this GX3 squad. Even with your Viper off the table. And with 4 players remaining on both teams, they're just playing together, right? You see that rotation coming on through. It's 3 now. Swinging in. Kath gonna send out that showstopper. Look for a bit of chip damage on the opposite side of the wall. Fortunately for GX3, they're able to back away. Maddie's able to find that kill. Hunter Shuri now gonna come on through, not for the post plant, but to try and stop any plays out towards mid. Zoe does have the high ground for now, and I'm not sure if she was spotted jumping into this position, but there's the poison cloud. Kath looking to go on the aggro, finds one with the black packs off the back end. A double kill for the Raids. That resurrection comes on through. 3v3. We jump into it, but Kath isn't done. As I said, Jan makes me eat my words. The defuse comes through again. Ali is there to try and clutch out the kills, but it doesn't matter anyway. We're not even at the half. 7-5 is where we find ourselves, as GX3 on the back foot will mount their defense.
I'm not sure what was going on there with GX3. I don't know if they were waiting for a lineup or something, because they were playing so far back, so passive. No way to shut down the defuse after their point player died. So, bit of an unfortunate turn for them, but it's very good for TSM, because 7-5, you win the pistol here, you definitely set yourself on to that path towards victory. However, for GX3, they're a very strong defensive team. They have the Sage pick, they have the Viper onto Ali, so they're good at anchoring things down. And we definitely also have to keep our eyes out for Maddie in this half, because she can be so aggressive, even on the defense. When she's feeling it, when she's confident, she will get in your face. She will shut you down. We immediately see it. She's fighting in towards A main here, but doesn't get any info.
Nothing yet. All 5 though for TSM on the opposite side of the map, and lack of info still gives you something as a snake bite. Looking to delay the plant for just a moment. Cloud is there as well, so the decay will be coming on through. Recon Bolt. Emily looks to go aggressive back towards Snowman, trying to take the fight right into the defender's spawn as they rotate on through, but it's Lacey out on top. Zoe's there to try to finish off what Emily started, but could not do it. It's a 2K for the Sova here for GX3, and it's TSM now in a rough spot. It's Kath in a rough spot, forced to reload. Will eventually be taken down. Now Athena gets spotted out, and Leah Panda has so much to get done, so much work to do, but so little time. Will eventually fall. A near flawless pistol round for GX3. I mean, we are 1 round away. The anti-eco away from being tied up here, Mimi.
Oh, GX3, they are looking to make this match spicy, looking to make it exciting here, and I just love what they did on that pistol. They had the initial aggression towards A main, which netted them some information, so on that B execute, GX3 was totally ready for it. They could just take the brawls in what was already, I think, a 5v4 at that point, so it was super easy for them to mop things up, and also, I mean, as Sage players, I love when Sages hold on that wall on the pistol. They don't use it initially on that defensive side because it's so hard to break those in the pistol rounds. They did that there. Definitely helped them to close out the round as we find ourselves now. The GX3 buy in, only a couple upgraded pistols for the side of TSM.
Once more, we get a peek at that Viper wall that, again, it kind of blocks you off. Well, this one's a little different, right? It's not so much blocking off main like we saw previously. It's a bit deeper, so you can kind of get that angle and almost push up to that crouch under area just before the gray box here. So an interesting one from that GX3 side as we see the same one in the attacking squad. It does still split the site in half as the snake bite goes on through, looking to delay, but unfortunately going to go a bit wide. The spike will get planted. TSM to be awarded those credits going into the next round, but what more can they find? It is that anti-eco. It is just a couple of upgraded pistols as Zanny looks to go on the flank. Will run right into Emily, able to find that kill. It's a ghost down and a player down for TSM.
I really like that from her. Get aggressive, deny that player who could be an issue into the late round flanks. Here comes Jan Lear forward. Tap on the spike, not quite yet. Instead, they're just electing for the rolls. And Maddie with the ghost doing so much damage. It's left all onto Zoe, and she's just not able to muster. GX3, they'll tie up 7-7 here.
I love that play because after Maddie had found a couple of kills, she's down to, I want to say, around 20-30 health. And there's 2 toxic screens up. There's cloud bursts all over the place. There's snake bites and shock darts going. And then on top of all of that, you have a jet dash right into your face and split up 2 members. So just, again, kind of thriving in that chaos, creating so much more. And that's all the space that her team needed to be able to close that one out. So Maddie coming up huge there. And in that eco round, or the bonus, right, goes in with just a ghost, is able to hang on to it. And when you look at that economy, this is the bonus round. We're expecting it to swing the way of TSM, but for a little while after this, GX3 are going to have credits on credits on credits, and I'm assuming an operator very, very soon here as we trade kills out towards mid. And able to find one onto Zoe. Maddie taken off the board. It was just a ghost in her hand, so a fight she was kind of slated to lose here. And in that one is Emily, last one to hold it down out towards this B site. Does have a Vandal. Unfortunately, not going to find the shot she needs. It's Ali on top with the Spectre. That's a weapon to be retrieved for the weaponless Annie. And the spike on A site, it's the player advantage to GX3. This bonus round didn't look great in terms of economy, but it might still swing their way.
Kath needs to be the one to make a play here. She's trying to toy with the idea of some aggression, but it looks like she's taking it alone for the moment. Leah actually joining her. It's Athena to head up the defense of the flank, and that's exactly where GX3 is coming from. 3 players from that direction, and Kath will fight out towards spawn. Now TSM has the information and can be ready to deny the flank.
That recon bolt did get a tag, and obviously with the fight being pushed out towards that player exactly where they're at now. Ali, last one standing with 6 HP. I might have cast her, cursed them, because it was a 3v3 for a moment. If you blinked, you missed it. TSM come out on top. Their first rifle will go their way after losing the pistol, and the TSM reclaim their lead. They're still in a tough spot. It's an operator now in the hands of GX3, more importantly in the hands of Maddie on defense.
That was really important that Kath aggressed there. Leah Pan did a help out as well. They played that 2v1, isolated a duel, and knew that no one else was coming from defender-sided spawn. And it basically denied that kind of mortar and pestle play. You only had one side to connect from, and the full brunt of the TSM artillery could readjust to shut that play down. Good work out of TSM to stay alive, but now, as you mentioned, GX3, they have the money, and Annie's making a play up past her wall.
An interesting wall at that, kind of tossing it out, gives out the sound cue. Maybe it peeks out of the tube just a bit, but then you push right behind it. Unfortunately, it was expected by TSM playing this default style. The spike has creeped up towards B, so maybe this is the final destination for the team. And the one ultimate online is the Hunter's Fury. This right here, what we're looking at, Ali getting spotted by that boom bot and peeking through that toxic screen. That is kind of the problem of the attacking sided toxic screen, right? You can take that site, but you have to win that fight specifically because of that open area. So it blocks out the top tube, gives a whole lot of vision at the bottom side of the tube. And speaking of vision, everything you need, the info found here by this owl drone. Going to spot out 2 of TSM's member. Across the map, though, Zoe looking to open things up. I'm assuming that lurk gets a lot of value here if this is where the spike ends.
Yeah, should do. Should this come to a post plant for TSM, they have a Hunter's Fury.
30 seconds
They have the
left.
lineups from Zoe, and they can close things out here. But TSM actually pushing the matter forward. It's Emily fighting towards spawn.
Yeah, not giving up anything, but taking it all as Emily gonna find one, but traded back. Jan picks up 2 huge kills to cut down the duelist. The Hunter's Fury still online for TSM, so we may look to see Silva hop off the site here. Empress online, slow orbs go through toxic screen, and just the worst possible timing here for Athena. Now Zoe, the player on the flank, looking to get something done. Backstab onto 1. 2 players still to worry about. An operator in the hands of 1. The shots come through. The Empress is on a top. No, a snake bite gonna go through. And maybe buys enough. Ticking away. The spike is diffused. 18 health and vulnerable is Jan. But it doesn't matter anyway. Anyhow, we're tied up once more.
Back into the even odds here, and I like that there was just no space given there for GX3. They always had the pressure on. That's what you need to do when you're playing against a team that has this post-plant utility. And they knew that Leah would have that Hunter's Fury, so they were constantly pressuring her, using that wall to aid in the retake, and they just went out all the necessary gunfights. Maddie, again, has her hands on this operator. This time, she's postured for a fight towards A main, but A main not being tested. It's Ali, again, to have to anchor down B up against 4.
I believe an op shot, maybe through a wall or grabbing a leg onto Athena. Did a lot of damage on that Sage, who's still posturing out towards A, so needs to be careful knowing that the operator is still there. TSM, unfortunately, having a rough go at things in terms of economy. The spike's still down in the spawn, so they're trying to play a bit slower and see what they can grab with the paint shells. That's a whole lot to have. The healing orb will be used. Fortunately, Ali won't quite be topped off. 1 dagger goes wide for Emily. 4 more to work with in the shock dart. Barely going to miss out, but the Owl Drone can still get the information. Oh my goodness, Emily goes up top, punishes. The Owl Drone says, you can have the information. I will take your life for it.
Oh, that's huge out of Emily, and look at the space given to Athena. She's worked up deep towards A. Jan is here to reclaim that space, and the Blade Storm shut down courtesy of Madison. Athena, though, still unchecked, still unknown, in the spot to make a huge play.
And the operator very close, so I thought that barrier orb was going to go out, out towards screen, so this kind of corrals everybody up towards this heaven area. Finally, the shots will come down, and the wall will be chipped away at. Again, going to give away her position in order to take that one down. Annie now looking to bring things up. Sheriff shot's going to go just a bit wide. Hunter's Fury with the slow orb. Not going to find anything from Leah just yet as the resurrection comes through. Numbers advantage heavily in favor of GX3 as Leah goes across 410. Not able to find it there. Plenty of time for a defuse, and GX3 will grab themselves a lead.
great work out of GX3. Again, the retakes where they're finding themselves at home. And for Emily, she's had a couple opportunities with this operator, seems to be struggling to find that impact early on here. And I think that's just because Madison thus far has been kind of shutting down in this Jet head-to-head. She's been getting so aggressive, taking those fights. And I like that TSM, especially Emily and Kath, have been trying to re-aggress to shut down that space. But right now, they're just being bested. That's what's so good about this GX3 roster, that they can give so much freedom to Maddie, to let her get aggressive, to let her make these plays, because there's always that core four ready to back up if she gets in a tough spot.
And this is the most surprising to me. GX3 actually force a tactical timeout out of TSM off the back end of a very awkward run. Okay, it actually sounds like a technical pause coming on through in the form of a tactical being used. So we'll see if we can get that one back online as we kind of take a peek at some of the action earlier. Man, that is
so crisp.
Yeah, that is just as clean as it gets. It's unfortunate that Emily was punished a bit later by the operator. Sometimes that just happens, right? You need to find that grape, and it only takes one shot from Maddie to be able to sit you down. And yeah, I'd be okay with watching this all day.
Well, hopefully we won't have to watch it for too much longer, and we'll be able to get back underway here. But let's kind of talk about what we have on the cards for TSM right now, because this may be a tech, so I don't think they get to talk to Zach, but the five of them can have this chat together, figure out what they need to change up, and I'd love to see a little bit more of a fight out of them. I loved that Emily was working that mid-control there, getting aggressive into the position, because GX3 is fine to give up that space. I'd love to see them just playing a little bit more loose in that way, because I feel like that was the big success point for the attacking side of GX3, when they loosened up, when they didn't get too stressed, and they let their duelists just kind of go wild. Because both Kath and Emily, we know how much impact they can find, and especially if they're putting a lot of pressure on, it opens even more opportunities for Zoe to find a lurk.
And so I've also been a bit more impressed with the ability usage from TSM. Obviously, it's a lot easier to do on the defensive side of things, but I would like to see a bit more of that as well, kind of stringing together these slow orbs, paint shells, snake bites, whatever it may be, to try and catch some of the defenders out in some of these areas. You know, a lot of the places that they're going to be, especially if I would assume anybody watching this back playing the same exact comp with the Viper holding things down on B all by themselves. Just about every single time we've seen the toxic screen go up, and whoever's on the defense is peeking through that bottom side of the tube. So we saw one time the paint shells, I believe, push Ali away. I would like to see a bit more of that, just to kind of clear out some of these areas. And we've already seen TSM be incredibly accurate. I'm hoping to see a bit more utility coming out of this squad, as they are back on a bye here. So they could grab a bit more of that momentum. Y'all got any more of that momentum? Whereas on the opposite side of things, still an op in the hands of Maddie, and it's still a GX3 squad who have found themselves in the lead this time around. And 9 rounds is one more than they put up against this TSM squad earlier, so I would imagine they're feeling pretty good at this point.
Yeah, they've got to be feeling nice and comfortable. They've realized that the B site is likely where they could be finding a bit more success. I remember early, yeah, there it is. She has this like sneaky lineup to deny the plant alley. Very good at being the sole anchor, but TSM has walked up past the utility straight into alley. They find the entry.
And there it is, punishing that spot that I just talked about. Ali keeps going to that same area, trying to play underneath in that bottom tube. Just not able to find anything. Now the Hunter's Fury going to be sent on out, and it finds quite a bit there. Healing orb to be used, but 3 members chipped away by that one. Clear goes through, the Viper skin on top of it, and with 5 still remaining for TSM, this round gets a whole lot less winnable for GX3. But you can't count anybody out. We've seen some Vipers get caught out in awkward situations before. But it does look like the call to back away has come through, and Emily now on the hunt for the remaining members.
Jan maybe trying to get a bit of damage in here, but she's knocked down by a lovely shock to 19 HP. So this round has TSM written all over it. They will be able to regain, tie things up at 9-9. If they are able to hunt down these players, that could be crucial because the GX3 economy, well, they've had a little bit of momentum behind them. It's not perfect. They could definitely put a dent in it here, and you know where Lacey is, but with 6 seconds left, it looks like the majority of these weapons will be held onto. No, Emily steals one away right at the last second. Nice shot from the Jet. And for TSM, again, it's kind of what I was talking about during that technical pause, in that they just get a little bit aggressive here. They take the fight further than GX3 is expecting, and they caught Ali off guard. When Ali's able to stay alive, keep her utility up, she can be such a nuisance in that site. So shutting her down early has been huge. But now look at the adaptation out of GX3. They've moved Madison on her operator over towards B main.
And that's one of those situations that is, you know, if it isn't broke, don't fix it, right? So you just keep running that same thing towards B until it doesn't work anymore. That was around, it didn't work. Then they switch it up. So I like waiting until then to adapt. Although it was fairly readable to that point, it had been working. And now, like you said, on the opposite side of things, the spray down comes through, but the shot's actually not going to land on target at all. Emily still very healthy as Ali gets spotted out, taken down. That's going to be the Viper's Pit now off the board. Everybody who was once decayed will now go back to their healthy ways. The showstopper used out towards the spawn and not going to find anything just yet, although the idea is there, as are the players. GX3 down to their last 3. We'll see if this is what it's got to do. These 3 girls got game here on the retake.
Less and less likely. Maybe GX3 considering another save here. Madison is still holding on to that operator, but you see Zoe trying to make a lurk happen. Really shut things down in the late round, and the first shot goes awry and won't connect that towards Hell. Now shots come forward. TSM for 2. It's down to Lacey. She's not able to adjust in time, and they will regain. TSM now with 2 in a row, and they seem to have found the key to stop these GX3 retakes, because they've been kind of, in those rounds they were losing, they were kind of finding these 5 versus 5 post plans. Now they've been able to get the frags early. Now they've aggressed enough to find that advantage. Then they back off. Then they feel comfortable in the post plan because they know that when GX3 is at full strength, they are very, very keen to take those retakes.
They called an eco buy off the back end of that one. Sheriff's a ghost
Revealing area.
and a marshal for GX3 on the defense. Still could get a whole lot of value. We've seen a lot of damage done at the very least with these weapons in these ladies' hands. As the 2 duelists gonna grab some aggression out towards mid. It's sniffed out. Zoe looks for shots on target, not able to find it. It's Maddie to pick up the first, and if they want it, it's a Phantom down in spawn. You can send that over to one of your players, possibly Jan on that Reyna, who has since topped herself off. Lacey with the Marshall. Just shoot through the wall, Lacey. Shoot through the wall. Although you can't see it, we can, and that would have been a nice kill. But Kath now pushing aggressively. This is what you kind of need to see on these rounds, right? You don't want to let GX3 get too much space or too comfortable. So you look to steal it away, because we just saw what they can do with the Sheriff.
Stealing sight.
I wonder if they're going to try and just play to contain them, because if they can just shut down the TSM economy, it's going to be, they are pushing the matter. Well, that's a mistake, because TSM come out on top by 4. It's Annie Mall to pick up a singular frag. She's trying to just keep people here to hopefully get another gun taken away. That she will. It's down to a 1v2. There should be no way she can pull this off. The gun's recovered, but Emily has the line, has the shot. It's good damage, but it's around for TSM regardless.
TSM now to 11, and even in the damage that you do, you take a peek, right? 3 rounds in a row, and that economy is looking nice and pretty. For the next couple of rounds, even losing, it should be a-okay to buy. GX3 now not only need to piece 2 together to tie things up, but your back's against the wall. This is, I always say this, and I will always say, this before I say this again, but this is the time where you need to pull the trigger, right? You're not on map point. You've got 1 round to play with. You don't want to give up too much here. Now 11-9, but you are allowed to have a hiccup. But starting to mount your recall or mount your comeback would be huge to do it right here, right now. Maddie trying to play a cheeky corner, gets spotted out by the recon. Bolt is forced to back away, and Annie getting some value out towards mid. This play, it doesn't work the first time or the second, but the third time is the charm. A 2-for-1. The resurrection available. 1 shock dart goes through. Nobody to peek off the back end, unfortunately, for GX3, so they can't punish the resurrection there. That'll be a 4v4 with a minute left on the clock.
Yeah, but there's lots of information right now for GX3. They know there's at least 2 players committed towards mid, and they've pushed up into B main, have this space. Know that now it has to be either the A take or the take towards middle. And well, this round likely won't end up flawless, but it could go either way. Emily talking things down. Her job is to just hold off this rotation, but it's the same role for Maddie on the other side. And Emily, if she doesn't look carefully, could get caught off guard here.
Just completely looking the wrong way, not expecting the flank as Jan finds another onto the site. The spike is here, as are the 2 remaining for TSM. Leah Panda looking to get that one down as the Lears go through a reload. 2 players here, Jan and Zoe.
Last player
And have
standing.
those magazines topped off as the flank continues to get some more value. Madison grabs 2 to close things out. The ultimate online in double digits for GX3.
Good work there from GX3. That's when they kind of get this aggression back into things. Animal makes the play, evens things out into that 4 versus 4, and then the push out from that B main location was so important because, well, it did end in a lovely flank. The start was even better because it signaled to TSM, or excuse me, to GX3 rather, that TSM had to be committing in towards that A site. They were rotated in time. Jan was able to anchor, and well, Jan and Maddie, this kind of duo of duelists, has been doing so much work early on here for the GX3 squad, but will it be enough to pull ahead? We find ourselves into the 22nd round of play, and this is the decision. Will TSM pull the match point, or will GX3 regain to 11? Because if they can win this one, the TSM economy is going to start looking a little bit rough.
It looked shaky there for a few members as the tug of war ensues between these 2 teams here on Icebox. Blades are available should TSM get put in a weird spot in terms of economy. As for GX3, because of that round win, their economy looks A-okay. As the toxic screen goes through, Zoe able to push past it, but it's Maddie again, hanging out in this awkward spot up on top of the gray box. Maybe goes unchecked. 1 kill comes through, maybe a second as Zoe. Put up on her counterpart, Allie to fall, picks up a second for herself. Maddie goes down. The B side has been opened up, but Annie slowly bringing up the rear, is able to play through the crack, and I would imagine this is a spot that does not go unchecked, right? This is a spot that has been played all game. So if you hang out for too long here, Annie, you'll put yourself in a tough spot as they look to back away in TSM. They have a player advantage. I think somebody's got to sit by those bodies, right? You do not want to give up that resurrection.
Johnson trying to greed for it, and Henny does it. She still doesn't know that this is an A play, but to heal up, the fact that no one's following up, that'll give her a suspicion. So now she's likely looking for this res, but it will be the retake. GX3 advantage in way of numbers, but TSM, they have time to set up. They have time to get aggressive and try and find a frag here as it's Jan and Lacey first 2 to contact.
And the Viper's put online as well with that plant, so Zoe able to pop that one, and I'm not too sure how much utility is still available to try and clear out these close corners. Boombot gonna go through. It's Cat. It's Zoe holding it down inside the ultimate Athena. And close as well, walking right into that barrier orb. A tough spot to try and take a fight as Jan getting backed away by the paint gels. There goes down the Viper. The Dismiss to get away. Now a tough spot to be in. Dismisses right on top of the spike in a 1v1 situation. Athena goes huge with 3 kills and pushes TSM to map point.
GX3, they had the man advantage. They had every opportunity to come back into it, but they just could not shut down Athena when she needs to go huge, when she needs to go big. She does. It will be the clutch to come out, and TSM pulling their way onto match point. GX3, they're not out of this game just yet, though. They have money to work with in this round. They have 2 ultimates to boot, and the question is, what will they do with it? Because right now, TSM, they're in control of this pacing, and they're setting it rather slow. Their mid-rounding is continually coming out on top, but here goes Annie again, trying to make this play down mid, as it's Emily aggressive in towards B.
And Hunter Sherry coming on through from that defensive end.
Enemy down.
Zoe trying to push on through, but it's Annie, like you said, pointed out, makes a play out towards mid. A fast take out to the B site with the Showstopper and the Blade Storm. That's a kill for both teams across the map. Now the Jet maybe get caught out here, and that's exactly what happens. Emily gonna go wide on the Blades, and TSM down a player in a 4v4 retake. Blades are online for Maddie, but the flank is being watched very closely. Leah able to spot that out, so they are wary of this. Dash still available. Available. Managing to find one. Being able to sit it down, and it's all up to Kath. Misses multi-kill before. B-site was her domain. Is that going to be continuing to be the same? And yes, it is. It's a 3K to close it out. Kath gets it done again, and TSM grab map 1.
A respawn clutch of all things to close things out, and while TSM, the clutches kept seeming to swing towards their favor. It was their map pick, but that was close as could be. In the previous iteration of this matchup, it was a 13-8. TSM still finding the favor, but now GX3, they seem to have adapted their way around. They seem to be ready for this matchup. But up next, they will head into their map pick. They get an opportunity on split to try and see if they can take it to 3 or if they will be knocked down to the lower bracket. It's TSM up against GX3 after this break. Hopefully. Well, I mean, I guess we have another second to hold on here, but I don't know, Tanner. It was a pretty good matchup across the board. But now for real, we will head to a break. Stick with us. We'll be right back with TSM GX3.
Show me what you got. Back that up, 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 back Show me what you got. Show me what you got. Down, up, back, back, up, God, down, up, back, back, God, down, up, back, back, up, God, down, up, back, back, God, down, up, back, back, up, God, down.
We are back. Verizon VCT Game Changers presented by Dignitas. We just watched a game one of our second best of 3 series today between TSM and GX3. With TSM, it is their map pick. They definitely they took that round. They're coming into map 2 in a lead with 1-0. But man, GX3 really put them in a little bit of a corner over there for a little bit. So, Mimi, can you give us a little bit of a breakdown to start as far as what we just watched?
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like it was kind of a story of the B site there and kind of a counter adaptation after counter adaptation, because both of these Viper players, in terms of Ali and in terms of Zoe especially, were doing great work to anchor down towards that B position that just kept getting hammered by both squads. But I think what allowed TSM to come out at the end there was just some huge individuals stepping up. You see a lot of these Cath replays. She was going huge at the end. Emily really woke up in the second half, as you can see, from just crisp shots like that. It was a super close game, and in situations that do come down to the wire like that, sometimes it just depends on who's having the pop-off performance. Well, for TSM, they were definitely in that boat, and, well, that's not something you can consistently rely on, but it was a good look for them. They'll find that map again, so history definitely repeating itself here.
And so what I liked to see, TSM winning this one out just like previously in this rematch, but GX3 were able to put up more rounds this time around. And what was really exciting to watch was the confidence, again, and the aggression, right, from Jan, from Maddie. They were playing with a bit more fire, and I think that's why they're able to pick up a few rounds. The only problem is when you're 12-10 and you're headed anywhere on Icebox, you have to be wary of Icebox's Queen Bee in Cath. I believe 4 times in this game, she had picked up 3Ks. And then obviously they're just a cherry on top, just holding it down. Although playing the Rays, still the Empress reigning supreme at the end for another 3K to close things out, as we get to take a peek here at the stats. And I mean, it's Cath up top. Who would have guessed, right?
That is for sure. Yes, everybody looking on screen right now, we are just seeing that the map stats from Icebox here in Cath. Yeah, she's looking like she wants to make a run for that NYX Cosmetics MVP at the end of that series, but we are looking to see if maybe Emily can step up. I mean, we saw a shift here, though, from the side of GX3 when they switched over onto the defense. Tanner, do you think that this is something that they can carry over? At least, they have to feel a little good taking up so many rounds from TSM in TSM's map pick, now that they're coming into the second map, which is their choice over here. So...
yeah, I think that's the most important, is that Split is a map that they won previously against TSM, and they're coming off a much better performance on Icebox. So I think coming into this, they probably have a much better performance on Split, which then kind of propels them in an upward trajectory as we get to Ascent. And I think that should we make it to a map 3, it's really anybody's game. The problem with something like this is when you have an organization like TSM who has the backing, who has all of the facilities to be able to put into a rematch, winning Split becomes a bit more difficult. So I'm assuming that we don't see the same TSM that we saw previously in this matchup where they lost the map. I think this one goes probably just as deep, because you've got a GX3 squad that's firing on all cylinders, and then you have a TSM squad, much like we saw in CLG Red in the previous one, that has a whole lot to prove.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for GX3, this is a map they feel pretty comfortable in. Overall, I think they're what, like 2-1 on their record, looking pretty good on this map. But I like the point you bring up there about TSM having lots of time to adapt. Obviously, everyone here is full-time into Valorant, so they can fully dive in. They can fully take the opportunities to counter-strat out. But something tells me that GX3 isn't going to stagnate, because we saw the adaptations in that previous matchup. We saw them come in prepared for Icebox. They put up a better fight than before. So I don't think they're going to get complacent in this match, but I think it's going to be another barn burner. I think it's going to come down to the wire. And in those close matchups, like we kind of stated for TSM, the only thing that really dragged them over the line at the end was a couple pop-off moments that kept them going. So this could very easily swing either way. This could be a TSM 2-0, or this could be us heading on over to Ascent. So GX3, I think they're probably feeling pretty confident going into this one, but the pressure is definitely on for them to perform.
Absolutely. Before we dive right into agent select and whatnot, as far as like the map picks are concerned, we talked about the fact that this is the comfort choice for GX3. So they have to be making some adjustments here. And TSM, they've seen that stat line. They know that, okay, this is a comfort pick for GX3. So the players, especially since we did pick the head-to-head for the players, we're just kind of going to pay attention to what that agents that they're going to lock into. Are we going to be seeing another jet diff balance between our head-to-head choices? And with that, it's actually perfect timing because our SIG agent select is now underway. So Tanner, Mimi, take it away.
Well, not too much time to take a glance at what we're looking at, but I believe we saw the Astra come out for both sides. That's normally onto Ali and onto Athena, both of them looking pretty good on those agents. And what's most exciting for me is that on split, we get Lacey on Breach, and we also get Leah on Breach. I feel like Breach has started kind of falling out of meta a little bit, Tanner, but for both these squads, they like to bring it out. So that sets us up for a quick pace game for aggression and for coordination along with that agent.
And so when you take a peek at the Breach, right, you're not necessarily expecting both Leah and Lacey to just skyrocket to the top of the leaderboard. Like, wow, these players are just Breach gods. They're so good at the agent because of how many kills they got. It's all going to come down to the assists, right, and how well they're able to supplement their team with the fault lines, with the flashpoints. So that's where I'm going to be paying attention. Obviously, we love to see the kills, but if they're not up there, taking a peek at where they're at in deaths, right, their ability to stay alive in rounds where they're needed most because of your supplementing abilities, as well as the amount of assists, so the amount of times that you've gotten value out of those abilities is really going to stand out to me. But here we go. We're jumping on into the pistol. It is GX3 on the attack. This is their map pick, so somewhere that they are comfortable. They've also taken this map off of TSM recently in the last weekend in the open qualifiers. We'll see if they're able to do it again.
We'll have to see. For this GX3 squad, they're working some mid-control, alarm bot influence that Nebula, and actually aggressive play out, following up with the Breach. It's a double swing from TSM, and one kill comes out of it. This forces a re-rotation as GX3 looks towards the A site.
And one kill, one assist, I would assume, off the back end of that flashpoint. So getting a lot of value out of that one. And you can't credit Riot enough for adding that into the game, the non-damaging assist for coming through. So the recon bolts, the heals that you're getting. I don't know if the resurrections necessarily count for something like that, but so to see those numbers kind of skyrocket off the back end of stuff like that is something you love to see because you're giving some support players love. But with that, it was a fake back towards the A site. Still a player down, our GX3. They're all queued up. Go out towards B, and Maddie actually going to clear the corner, but now has to be wary of the rest what Athena has to offer. They take the fight right to her, but it's two kills for one. Athena does everything that she needs and more here as a slow orb. Buys some space.
One enemy remaining.
Fling up the back end, and Zoe to close it out. TSM, a near flawless pistol.
All right, well, Athena pretty much just single-handedly clutched up that round for TSM because by being back spawned, she gets one. It didn't even matter if she got the second kill because she was buying so much time. It was cut down to about 10 seconds by the time they even entered B main. And when you're running into a stacked site with no time left, it doesn't ever really work out. And I mean, Tanner, that feels like the story of GX3. Waiting too long on these attacker sides and then taking a while to adapt around the fact that they're like, oh, dang, we really got to switch this up. We have to take things quicker. So we'll have to see how quickly they can adapt in this game, as it is just the pistols out for this attacking squad.
Yeah, and the wrong decision is better than no decision, right? We see what happens when there is indecision in the squad. Somebody has to say, let's just send it, because off the back end of a bad decision, you can read that, right? You can make adjustments and you can understand what to do next time. If you don't make any decision, you just get picked apart like we saw. There's just no breathing room for GX3 towards the end of those rounds.
Recovering it.
So it's something where somebody has to pull the trigger, because it was a 13-10 game. 2 rounds separated us from overtime. And there were a few rounds on that map where we saw GX3 running out of time. So you absolutely would love to see them work with the clock a bit more. Obviously, in this round, it's a whole lot harder on this anti-eco. Dash onto the site. Grab wall, gonna try and pull in one. There's a flashpoint towards the back of the side, and Athena now. Oh my goodness, I thought she was in a rough spot, but no, she's still able to sneak one out. 2 quick kills traded back though for GX3. A couple of guns to be retrieved. This
planted.
Cath takes one away from Ali. So that is a Spectre down as Annie goes on the flank. Dropping down is Emily. Able to heal herself up. Now the turret spotted out. The Judge knowing we're going to take a fight right on through. But the Classic comes out on top once more. You have to be wary of the flank. You have to be wary of this GX3
One enemy
roster
remaining.
because they might just get it done here in a 1v1. The wall is up. Emily looking to counter boost. Might have been a Fortnite here, but there it is. The round to GX3 in the anti-eco.
That's crazy that they pull that off. They started out with one of their members just, I don't know, going for a ride straight up and over into the face of the Astor towards back sight. They start on that disadvantage, but then it's just a double kill with the Classics. And TSM, once they started getting worried, they just looked fractured. Players were rotating in on their own. Zoe took a 1v1 Heaven, lost it, and then there was a 1v1 taken elsewhere towards Spawn that they lost out on. GX3 just looking a lot more coordinated on that round, and as a result, look at this buy-up. Rifles across the board for the majority of GX3 as it's TSM now pushed to the save.
Ooh, Emily with a huge shot there. Out of the tip of the spear, pushing out through A main. The Sheriff coming online now. Maddie maybe playing with a bit of anger from that kill across the map. Looks to get on the site. Has to worry about one who dances around the pillar perfectly. Athena goes unchecked, goes unspotted. A double dink will take the gun out of the hands of Maddie. Now Lacey in a tough spot, but still saves Athena because of that wall. Emily, the retrieved weapon from that previous kill, is able to find one in response. And GX3 now find themselves on the back foot. This is another eco round to come on through, and I feel like we got robbed of the Virus Thrifty call in that previous round, but we might get it right here, right now. Now Jan needs to go huge, does have a weapon, full HP and a heal to her name. 4 members in front, make it 3. Start the ball down, make it 2, almost make it 1. As Cath should have just enough time to close things out, to swing things back in favor. It's back and forth we go, and there it is, a Virus Thrifty to close things out.
All right, well, TSM, they saw GX3's Virus Thrifty, and they just do them one better. Pull themselves now back into advantage, and the economy gets funky here, but I want to talk about that Sage Wall. It's kind of a default Sage Wall. Tons of people do it, but I'm really not a fan of it because it funnels your entire team into one choke point, and it also makes it hard for you to clear out someone who's playing around that pillar back towards New Box. You saw that Athena was there the whole time, just tucked on New Box. No one ever took the opportunity to check her, so she finds that first frag off of the player working that CT push, and well, that's just a tough turn of events for the side of GX3. TSM, though, feeling good as its aggression yet again down mid.
I cannot do another one. These ladies just going back and forth on the eco rounds. This time, though, it's Emily once more. No longer with the Sheriff, but with the Vandal in hand to find that first kill of the round and slow things down. Ball absolutely in GX3's court to try and make a play here. And it's not too bad of an eco to actually make it into this round, right? A couple of Sheriffs. We saw some Spectres as well right there on Annie. Unfortunately, might be taken away. Tossing out the Nano Swarm. Alley maybe goes unchecked for just a moment. Shots go wide, but Athena finally figures it out. Goes good for 2. Emily still holding it down on the B site, and the remaining 2 inside of B main here for GX3. Don't really have anything to get done here. You are going to rotate over towards mid, but very tall task.
Low out towards mid now for GX3, just trying to maybe deal a bit of damage here with the lesser weaponry, but the time ticking down. They're the squad that needs to make a play, and Athena knows all, sees all. This should be a swift, easy finish for TS. Athena finally swings out, and one somehow doesn't connect a kill, but eventually finds the lineup. A flawless round there, courtesy of Secret Lab, as TSM pull their way to 3 and are the first squad to be able to string a set of rounds together.
Finally, we get a bit of spacing and who's winning these rounds. It's insane to see that the game kind of pan out like this. Is basically the team on pistols for all of the rounds had won. As we get to take another peek at how this round kind of started off for Athena, who was, 2 kills out towards mid. Okay, gonna do some damage there, and then with 5 health, lines them up, the back end of, once again, a flashpoint. closes things out for a nice 4K, which puts the Cosmic Divide online for TSM as well as the Resurrection. And I'm pretty sure this is the first round we're getting full buys for both of the teams. So I think those ultimates should be heavily considered in trying to win out these rounds for either TSM or GX3.
GX3, they love themselves a spot of mid-control here, and they love working alert. The Killjoy from their squad already pushed up towards the ramps, but you notice there's an alarm bot there to keep her at bay. TSM, they're very much in control of how much space they're giving away because they know GX3 likes the default, so they're not going to overcommit into anything, but they're also comfortable with where they're holding, and well, where they are holding is very aggressive. Maybe forward, flash out to support, and she finds one. That's a spike as well, Tanner.
Spike down, so you've got all the information you need to try and swing the round. Maddie, though, making it hurt here. Flashpoint go through. Kath not going to be blind just yet. Now, almost completely pinched. Athena's able to save the life of Kath for just a moment, unfortunately. Off the back end of that kill. The two inside of B-Main will swing, and Resurrection comes through. Grabwell going to slow things down for a second. With 25 on the clock here, a Cosmic Divide. The Aftershock is going to force Athena away, but should be able to hold it down for the next 20 seconds here. Grabwell pulls into Spike now down on the floor, swinging on the corner. Athena goes good for 4, looking to make it a 5th here as that Spike will finally get planted. With 5 seconds left on the clock, a 1v2 situation, and Jan, you have some splaining to do here. Can you get it done? Will shut down Athena. Will look for the second, but the spray down isn't there. It's Zoe to close it out, and a very close round win for TSM.
Comes down to the wire, but it's Athena fashioning herself a hero. 4K there as she plays perfectly around the pillar. Again, they work that same wall. They leave Athena on her own tucked in. And well, she has those grab wells. She has the utility to make solo plays. That's exactly what she'll pull off. TSM now up 4-1. And for the squad of GX3, they're falling back into the kind of slow-paced woes where they end up in these late-round executes where TSM is already on the site and TSM heads them off. And, well, these rounds are getting close. They're just not coming out on top. But with the 2 ultimates available, that being the Rolling Thunder and the Lockdown, I'd imagine we see GX3 maybe try and pick up the pace here as there's 4 posture towards mid. Never mind.
Just another slow start here. Default play style. Spike down on the floor. GX3, so options still available. As Kath kind of playing that jump peek just to see if anybody pushes up through mail room. Leah has that flashpoint queued up as well. Again, the utility usage from TSM has been something to note for sure. Turret gonna be the first to contact. Gravity well gonna pull in Annie's turret. Unfortunately, not much else to find on the back of that, but unbeknownst to this TSM squad, everybody from GX3 rotating over towards this A site. Remember, still kind of holding steady
Right there.
out towards B, making sure nothing comes up into that B heaven, no backstabs available, so it will be basically a 2v5 on the side as they look to take here.
Pick forward from Madison. She is the arrow of the squad and site secured, but look at what TSM has in the retake. They have that lockdown to work with. Their ult economy is healthy, and they're ready to push. Here goes the aggression. It's a Rolling Thunder towards spawn.
You should run.
A Rolling Thunder. Oh my goodness, just about everything used here. And the aggression from GX3 is going to be answered by the operator from Emily. Though goes for the second shot. Not going to find it just yet. Jan to push on up into heaven. Emily goes good for 2. The detain is there. Everything chucked out at this round. Now Annie has a whole lot to get done. 3 more players to worry about with the Resurrection coming through. There's 3 quick kills with the secondary in hand. Leo will close things out. Plenty of time for the defuse. And what a chaotic round that goes away of TSM.
So much invested there for GX3. Rolling Thunder, the lockdown as well. All stock getting put into that round. I believe the Cosmic Divide even. So that's a heartbreaker to be losing out on. But TSM, they knew that Rolling Thunder was coming. They knew there was an opportunity for aggression, so they were playing pretty far back. Emily was holding down. Right, like they had a nice quick execute into a site that was completely open, but now the new issue is that they haven't been able to hold these post plants.
Get out of my way.
Same kind of setup here with that Killjoy. Looking to get a lurk out towards A, grab some information with that turret. And I just want to give kind of a shout out. I'm actually going to hang on to that top for a second. Nobody expects the Sage on top of the Sage wall, on top of Heaven, on top of the Raptors, basically on top of the map here. Emily finds that first kill. The Blades were popped in this round too, so maybe not expecting to get so far behind early in this one was GX3, but Maddie now kind of that driving force for this GX3 squad to get things done. Needs to try and find a trade some way, somehow. May just get spotted or heard pushing through the ropes. A nice little split here onto the A side. Typically we see the mid split out towards B. That's not going to be the case this time around. First to contact, Athena gets topped off by Maddie there, and unfortunately topped off in the way that you would not like. First to 5 HP, then to 0 with the knives. Emily forced to back up here in a spooky spot. These close corners do not bode very well for the operator.
Ooh, Emily spotted out the Blades for a second there. Knows the Jets committed to site, and TSM has already retook Heaven. Doing this 4v4, they have lots of space to work with, and as the spike only just hit the ground, time is heavily on their side.
Emily's still going to be in a rough spot, wielding that operator out towards screens. Nobody looking to peek these long angles to Zoe, just narrowly missing. Getting some damage onto Ali, but not finding the kills just yet. All four corralled onto the site. Flashpoint goes out. Aftershock gonna stop the push for now. Ali finally will fall as it looks to push through the slow orb. Showstopper queued up. One second down, remaining. Looking for some more. And it's all up to Maddie with the knives. A 1v2 situation, playing the clock perfectly. Somebody has to stop it, and Maddie will do just that. TSM, the clock is not on your side. Although Cath finds 4 on the round, we've got ourselves a respawn clutch in favor of GX3.
Well, they needed something to come out on top, but right now, the respawn clutches seems like the only rounds that they are able to win. It's still not a solution in way of consistency, but I like their utility usage there. They slow down TSM on the retake, because TSM initially, right, they had that Heaven control. They had everything practically in their favor, but there was just a little bit of a fight forward from GX3, using some of those blinds, using some of those mollies to keep TSM locked out. Perfect from GX3 to keep alive, to keep things going. But now, in this round, the money is still kind of on that teetering edge. If GX3 are able to lose this, they'll be reset right back down.
Recovering it.
And the same heroics that we saw from TSM winning on Icebox are the heroics that we're getting here from GX3 in their couple of round wins. So we're kind of a back and forth in terms of players really stepping up and clutching things out. And stepping up, Athena gonna step up out towards A main. Flashpoint might just push her away for a second. Gonna try and play around the aftershock. Does
you
so.
You will not kill my allies.
Just a tad bit of damage on the way out. But with all that information gathered, you have to be assuming that this is going to be an A hit. Annie trying to lurk up towards mid, trying to create some space somewhere on the map for this squad. Cath waiting inside the nebulous smoke. Ooh, the alarm bot gonna give it away. There goes the rolling thunder onto one player. It feels so oppressive, but what can you do? You have to expect, if not one, more than one. Either way, it nets a kill for TSM. Athena now playing back to the side, able to spot one. Maddie pushes on, taken down, looking for some more. The drop fire is there. Emily, to back up her fallen foe. Lacey with the grab one as well. The Sages go toe-to-toe. It's Jan on top. But it's TSM, still a player ahead. It's low HP on to Lacey. It's no HP on to Lacey as Jan, the last one standing, uses a healing orb on herself. Has a bit of utility. Is able to take down the turret. Now needs to get that spike planted. Spot for the reveal onto the side, and Cap to close it out. TSM to 6.
Great work from TSM again. It's a matter of containment, the way that they're working around these late round pushes, because they always have everyone postured. They hold on to the extremities, Heaven, towards screens, so there's no space for GX3 to work with, and the second they try for that desperation plant, the pinch comes through, TSM shuts down. It's been a consistent thing here for TSM, and for GX3, again, I feel like we've talked about this so much, but I just want to see them push before 30 seconds because every time, it's just not working into their favor. Now, Emily, she's going to fight forward in towards main as it's GX3 just trying to get something done here with the lesser weapons.
Pain Shell is going to force Maddie back, force the tailwind away as well. So puts that Jet kind of in an awkward position. And he may be feeling less inclined to take some of these fights.
Satisfying.
And, well, Annie Spectre in hand, trying to get a bit too aggressive. Past the hands of Emily. Leah and Cass able to use that lockdown D up towards B Heaven. Finally, leaving it all down to Jan. Just a Sheriff, a Spectre. Right in front, though. So able to pick that one up as that Nebula smoke goes down. Emily looking for a bit of damage. Forced to back away. Jan does have the spike in hand, but is just getting completely run down here, Mimi.
They are. Jan actually in a good position to try and get something done here, but she greeds for the heal. And TSM will punish 7-2 right now. It's GX3's map choice, but TSM just looking so good. There is another opportunity here, though. It's money up for GX3, and will they change how they're playing? Because right now, TSM is just ready for it. The counter aggression has been great. The retakes have been great. It seems like TSM can really do no wrong.
That'll work.
Yeah, this feels similar to Series 1, where TSM, they didn't lose to GX3, but they lose a game, or a map, excuse me, and more specifically, this map. And we haven't seen GX3's defensive side, but it feels like TSM have a whole lot to prove in this one. They kind of have a chip on their shoulder coming into this, so they want to make a statement against this GX3 roster. Only a couple of ultimates online. That lockdown could prove to be fruitful, but with a showstopper right around the corner, I would imagine Kath is feeling comfy enough to go ahead and send that one down. So maybe B main isn't the place to ult, but it could be a nice bait, right? The spike is over towards the A site, Mimi.
Yeah, that it is. TSM, though, they're not fully biting off of this. They have 2 players committed. You see that Athena there as the Astros toying with the idea of a rotation. But look at Kath. There's a showstopper. She knows they're not committing off of this, and she'll even get away before detainment. Now this A play comes under question because no rotations were pulled. Do you still commit this? They're still attempting to try and sell this, but Athena's cautious, starting to work her way back. However, it's just one player in on the side. Zoe, she has to go huge here.
And the swarms are there. The shots are on target as well. The spike now, the next question as Jan falls, so does the spike. They're split across the map, and they're absolutely dissected in their fake play towards B. They get nothing here as Annie finds a dink and a kill onto Athena. So a 2v4 situation with the spike down in quite possibly the worst place possible. And both players remaining with 10 seconds on the clock are split across the map.
Player standing.
That was a dire attempt from GX3. A valiant effort, but just read beautifully by TSM.
So perfect out of TSM yet again, and the thing is that they bit on the fake, right? There was a point where 4 players of TSM were leading that way, but they just got completely diffed by Zoe, and I feel like there was a bit of overcommitment into the fake because they sent 3 players there to try and fully sell it. Yeah, they sold it, but it meant there was only 2 on the execute, and Zoe just won out the 2v1. GX3, I liked the play. It was a little bit quicker. It was a little bit, it gave them a little bit more time to play with, but yet again, they just get caught off guard, spikes down, there's no time left, and they lose the round automatically. The best they can hope for at this point is going to be 8-4, and this is looking grim.
Aggression out towards mid in terms of utility from TSM. Still weapons in the hands of GX3, so they do still have an arsenal behind them. Try and grab that 8-4 half as a flashpoint in the paint shell is going to be used. It's Kath and Leah Panda kind of going hand in hand, working in tandem to make sure that B Heaven not only stays on lockdown, but mid as well. The A site to be held by Emily and Athena. Zanny finds the first kill. I said held, but maybe not any longer. Emily now the only one still here on the A site, and with that kill, let's see if it does buy a rotation. So 1 to come on through. It'll be 2v5 roughly as that Sage Wall buys just a bit of time. Kath now looking to beat fault line off the back end. Alarm bot gets shot, and I don't know how much information that actually gave away. It was shot by Leah, and they don't even expect Kath to be in the corner. Swinging out now on top of the wall. A 2-for-1 trade up inside of A Heaven as that spike looks to get planted. Ali tries to creep up. Now has a weapon in hand. The spike is on A, but Ali to do her due diligence to try and make sure that things are clear out towards mid. Nobody inside the ropes, and with the resurrection, TSM have a player advantage.
They should be aware that Ali is down here. They think she might be ramps. Now the suspicion has to rise. Trying to hunt her down. Current user at base tries to swing past it. Up she goes, and down she falls. The lockdown has been committed as GX3 find themselves in this 2 versus 4 and have to fight their way forward.
There looks like very small corners on the site, but visible corners no less to be able to sneak away from the lockdown. Either way, their deaths come through before the ult can finish. Time on the clock means TSM will find themselves another defuse here, a near flawless, and with that, Leah Panda gonna have themselves an a rolling thunder
round in the
on
half.
as we go into the last round of the half. It was 8-4 on the docket, now 9-3. But the way this has been going, Mimi, 10-2 is just as doable.
Ooh, this is looking like a set play here for Leah Panda, trying to maybe get some aggression there with the Rolling Thunder to support her teammates off of a push. And, well, it wouldn't be the perfect call as GX3 is postured in towards A. They have 4 members here committed with just that Killjoy and Annie playing a little further back in towards spawn. Maybe they're finally going to be picking up the pace here and trying to just commit something straight up, because I feel like if they are going to just straight up execute, A site likely be the better choice, because they're starting to edge their way up towards ramp.
Nice grab, well, though. Gonna stunt some of that aggression. Maddie forced back, vulnerable on 2 players. Maddie and Jan now working in tandem to try and take A Heaven this time around. So no longer looking to fight for B Heaven because of what Kath and Leah Panda have been able to do. Cosmic Divide gonna be used on the side of TSM, though, and that gets pretty tricky to push on through here. Nebula Smoke there as well. And push on. Emily looking to swing on the opposite side. Athena goes toe-to-toe with their counterpart. Emily backing away, giving up elbow. We'll wait for the rest of the squad. Resurrection comes through. The A site has been assumed. We've got some awkward timing here. Annie not going to get spotted out just yet. Kath does, and the shot's not going to go through, so still undetected is the GX3 Killjoy. Oh, there's the Rolling Thunder, though. Here comes the retake. Oh, in response, all the ultimates are going to be used here. Cosmic Divide, Knives, Rolling Thunder, everything thrown at it. And Annie's still on the flank, not able to find the value, though. Pushing through the Cosmic Divide. The Knives up close. The first one's going to go one enemy able to get 3. The spray down on the round. 9-3 for GX3.
Well, GX3, they pull things back. They find their namesake and are able to at least pick up something on that attacker's side. But the moment they pick up the aggression, it's again the very last round. It kind of hurts to watch a little bit, Tanner, because it's clear they have the ideas, they have these adaptations, but they're just coming a bit too slow. However, they're not out of this one just yet. It's their map pick. They've beaten TSM here before, so they have a chance to come back on a defensive side that I think definitely favors them.
Yeah, this is, I mean, that's the best time, I would say, to kind of get back in the swing of things for GX3, because you're going into the pistol. You need to win the pistol. It's not a 10-2. I know we kind of already talked about that and the score lines and what everything means here. But obviously, this second round pistol just means so much more than that first, because of you being able to cut down the deficit, or you being able to grow your lead, whatever it may be. So now we see TSM on the attacking side, pistols in hand. The spike's still down in spawn, so nice little default, right? 5-point stance, essentially. That's 5-point as you can get on the split map. 1 out towards mid, 2 towards both sides of the map, just to buy as much utility, buy as much space, see what you can grab from this GX3 roster before finally trying to make a hit.
Ali looking for a little bit of information, as it was the stun in towards B main. TSM seem to have decided that B main is generally where they want to find themselves, but they're walking into a site held onto by 3. Ali has that grab already, trying to shut something down, but the execute will come out regardless.
And grab well. Slow. Natus one is there. Flashpoints can be traded out. Boombox gonna get a lot of value there. Chipping away 39 HP on Ali. Forced to back up. And with 30 seconds on the clock, that's a lot of time still to work with, right? This is the difference that we're seeing in these pistol rounds. Is it? Gonna go unchecked. Spike planted. Athena and Emily gonna hop on the board. It's red for 2. It's blue for 1. TSM. A player ahead as the post plant looks to come on through. Athena slowly bringing up the rear. So being just an afterthought, as she could be out towards mid, but instead will be out towards B main. As Emily playing towards the back of the site. Ball line gonna come on down the dash, but getting caught on the billboard, and it's all up to Maddie here. Shot in the back, the backstab comes on through, and TSM not only grab the pistol, but find themselves double digits.
TSM, it feels like they just utility diffed GX3 in that situation. There was a grab well towards Bane, initially a flash to follow it up for GX3, but after that, they just got ran over. Boom Buddy deals so much damage onto Ali. Flashes come forward, no one can see a damn thing. Oh, they're completely obliterated. The TSM posturing in the post plane as well was great. They held on to that A main position. They had the breach utility from Leah to fight forward even more, so it was just a good look from TSM across the board, and TSM being good at pistols, that's not normally something we can talk about, but for the female squad of TSM, they look great on them. As GX3, they're trying to fight down mid. Zoe, well, she knows that and has to fall back as a result.
And a bit of damage traded out as well on the eco here. That healing orb forced to be used onto Maddie. So Jan still lower on HP. Grab well gonna stop Zoe from getting back to the B main, but for just a second. And making your way through that grab well, as long as it doesn't pop, you're not vulnerable. So they're in an okay spot. And they look to play another B style, but with that, they kind of just leave Emily on the site to try and frag out, and the rest of the team moving on over towards A. It's quite a long rotation, but the only player holding it down was Annie, who will eventually fall, and Athena in such a great spot to stop this rotation. We'll be running into 4 pistol zone. This is where things kind of get spooky. Grab well as they all try to jump on through. Oh my goodness, Pat with the kills going through again, the utility diff. In a 2v1 situation, Ali has a Spectre in hand, but no shields to her name. Has 2 players to worry about. A turret right in front of Nano Swarm to slow her down, and it's doable. It's a very tall task here. Finally, the turret will go. And with that, 52 health separates GX3 from finding this round. TSM, both players still very healthy as a flashpoint goes through from Leah Panda. Looks like another one shoot up. That spike continues to tick. There's 1 kill. It's a 3K on the round. That's all Ali can grab. 11-3. GX3 backs against the wall. Will have their first bye here on their defense, and they need to string together 8 to tie.
The mid-rounding there from TSM is what I wanted from GX3 when they were playing their slow style default. Wait for that lurk to come to fruition, find the rotation, but the difference was TSM, they had the pace picked up. They had someone fighting towards spawn, so GX3 never had the opportunity to contest that spike. It was safe the whole way through. And TSM, only 2 away from closing. It's a long road forward. GX3 want to bring this back, but like you mentioned, they have weapons to work with now, so they have a good chance.
Flash out again, aggression out towards mid from both of these teams. Utility can be thrown out both ways. And Jan ready for the Nano Swarm this time around, so we'll take it down. Slow orb gonna stop TSM from pushing for now. And you have to think this has been such a fast-paced game for the most part. Once these site hits go, it's just been so hectic. And unfortunately, this GX3 team gonna be slowed down quite a bit. One out towards mid, one out towards A. TSM split is their oyster at this point. They could really go wherever they want, having a 2-player advantage. Annie, though, maybe gets it back. Yes, she does. The collateral comes through. 2 for 2 as they hang on for a second longer here in round number 15. 45 seconds on the clock. TSM need to make a move.
They do. Athena towards the ramps could still try and shut this play down, but she's low on HP, sees the turret, and knows how dangerous that can be. But the timing here, very much a factor, as Annie tucked just on the other side. Neither player aware of the other's position. But by cordoning off Heaven here, she allows the rest of this TSM squad to walk up in towards A and give them a good chance to close this round.
And in spotting that turret, I believe it was taken down there, so the team didn't get spotted. Unfortunately, Athena did. Only 5 HP though. Now Annie with 21, trying to find another kill. Unfortunately, biting off more than she gets 2 as she runs right down the sights of Zoe. It's a 2v2 situation. This one not as mirrored. The Killjoy down for 1 and Astra down for the other. The flashpoint still available for either side. Zoe playing inside the Nebula smoke. Looking to back away here. Make sure there's not another star for the grab. Well, there goes the flashpoint out towards elbow. The spray is there. The leg shots, though, not going to chip away at Ali just yet. Working against the clock, though. Leah just has to play ring around the Rosie. A very healthy breach. This is for map point, series point for TSM. Ali on low HP is able to get it done, but is running out of time. And it looks like she does have just enough. Yes, she does. There it is right at the end. GX3 hang on to fight another day.
Just narrowly. able to pull that out for GX3. Leah overcommitting to the fight for a moment there and loses out on the 1v1, but TSM, I doubt they're going to be too pleased about that because that was their bonus round, Tanner. They didn't put a whole ton of investment into there. They did put a couple extra new weapons up, so it'll make their economy a tad bit rocky into this one. And I like that they're still giving GX3 some respect, right? They're going to save down onto these sheriffs. They're not going to continue to force up. They want to close this out cleanly. They don't want to let this slip out of their grasp.
The battle of space continues early in these rounds. Bolt lines, nanoswarms, basically everything tossed out here. Nice flashpoint. Not going to blind the team as Annie finds one. Leah's able to trade it back with the classic. And the gun just out of reach. Maybe not just out of reach. As Cap looks to go through. Kind of sends the showstopper a bit wide. And not going to find anything there. But once more out towards mid. Maddie goes down early. And again, a driving force for this squad is Madison. Now taken off. Not going to be there for the squad. Unfortunately, no. Leah, I thought, caught with the fault line out still. Trying to re-equip, but has just enough time. Find the kill on the counter breach. And again, a 2v2 situation. It's low HP on one. This time, it's Leah Panda in a rough spot. It's TSM. Rough in terms of economy. You still hear that sheriff barking out towards the B site. And they are going to be completely...
Spike planted.
You here. No real way to go once that spike goes down. Lockdown going to be used as well. They have to take the fight right to Zoe. And Alex just said, but it's the jumping judge. It's up close and personal, and Jan gets it done. A 4K on the round to hang on.
Out of Jan coming up huge in that round. And, well, I don't think it's fully counting it as a clutch, but regardless, it's a huge clutch out of Jan to pick things into GX3's favor. However, again, Tanner, TSM's not putting that much stock into these rounds. That was just the sheriffs. That was just the SMGs. What they're doing is they're keeping this GX3 economy very much accountable. If GX3 stays on this teetering edge of their money, the second they're reset, they practically lose, because if they're pushed down onto a save, then it's just GG go next. There's only 2 rounds for them to work up against. And for TSM, they do have this cosmic divide here. They do have the weapons here. So this is likely the biggest test GX3 will have. They have some gifts in it. They have that KJ lockdown for the retake. They have a cosmic divide of their own. So it's very doable for them to keep this rolling against Jan trying to take a peek towards mid.
And backed away by the utility, but nothing popped there. Once more, Jan kind of being heads up when it comes to those nanoswarms and being able to take them down before they're able to get any value. And he can get done with that lockdown he spoke about earlier. See how much value that is able to grab deeper into this round. And you talked about TSM not investing too much. They kind of send it for the lockdown in that round, and you can kind of see where they're at mentally, right? Just, yeah, have a few rounds to waste. Let's just try and send it and close it out right here, right now. Kind of make the content play. Unfortunately, it falls a bit short as the Cosmic Divide comes through. Vulnerable is one, and unfortunately, Lacey not able to find that frag. The running gun for the Spectre falls just a bit short, but Annie is there to trade it back. So 2 for 1. You're able to get something there if you're GX3 as that spike waits to get planted, and Emily actually gonna have the resurrection off the back end of this, so should be able to bring back a fallen teammate, making it 5 alive for TSM. Cosmic Divide still online for GX3. That Rolling Thunder popped because of the death, and the lockdown unfortunately taken off the table as Jan gets caught out in the corner. Athena on the flank once more, just being a menace, pushing up towards B Heaven. Maddie and Allie have to do something heroic once more to try and keep this GX3 roster alive. 2v5 situation. Cloudburst go through. Maddie gonna dash on right into the sight of Zoe, and the backstab once more. There it is from Athena. Now round 12 picked up for TSM. Map and a series point here. We got ourselves a secret lab flawless to top it off.
Right there.
A huge round out of TSM. I like that execution from them. Just take things nice and simple. Don't overcomplicate it. You have the Cosmic Divide to block off Heaven, deny a little bit of information, and give you some space, and then just nice little breach flashes from Leah to push themselves deep into the site. And well, this is the worst case scenario we were discussing, where GX3, they've been strung along on this rough economy, and now they're into a weird spot. 4 SMGs. Jan not even able to afford armor up against match point. This is it for GX3. It's do or die, as Maddie, now with blades, trying to maybe make a play in towards A main.
Flash points. They're just gonna go wide there, and Athena gonna go huge for 2. And quite honestly, the most dire round for GX3. So a 2-for-1 trade over towards the A site as TSM look to just bring up the rear. It's gonna be Lacey holding it down, Phantom in hand, all by her lonesome. 70 HP after that duel with Athena. And a bit of utility. Flashpoint goes through, and it's not a Phantom. It's actually just a Spectre. Rolling Thunder going to be used. It tags Kath as she jumps away. 31 health separates Lacey from being 6 feet under as Jan finds another on her counterpart in Emily. The turret goes out. The spike goes down. And TSM now find themselves in a tough spot. Down a player with a lockdown to worry about. Here comes the Rolling Thunder on the offensive side, though, looking to clear out screens. Lockdown comes through, and it's all up to 1. It's all up to Leo, who needs to get out of range and find 2 kills, but cannot do it. With map point staring them down, a GX3 hang on.
Let's give credit where credit's due to Lacey in that round, because I think she really kept things alive with that Rolling Thunder. She only got 1 off of it and kept things into a 1-for-1 trade, but she bought probably a good 7 seconds for her squad to rotate in to be ready to finish off that retake. But again, GX3, that's not a consistent way to be winning these rounds. They had to commit the Rolling Thunder. They had to commit the lockdown. And look again, they keep having to force into these because the money is looking weird, whereas TSM are sitting pretty. They have 5 rifles to work with. All they need is 1 to close this out.
And my hands are sweaty watching this one as GX3 try to come back from this one. I can only imagine how they're feeling. Every round matters so much here on map and series point as a slow orb looks to stop some of that momentum out towards mid. Kath gonna be the first to peek here. Jan may be ready for it. There's the flashpoint. The shot's not gonna be on target as Kath swings around. Finds a kill onto the stage. Annie's there to trade it back. Lacey picks one up as well. That's across the map, so no lurk for Athena this time around. The TSM look to mount their positions here on the B site. The spike to go down shortly. Alarm bot we get vulnerable on 1, but nothing else to back it up as the recall comes through. Shots from the alleyway. Noe kind of in a tough spot with the aftershock, able to buy some time, able to buy a rotation on over. Kill comes through, a 3v3 situation. The blinds are there. Lacey coming up huge for the squad. Cuts it down to 2 for TSM once more. And if you blink, oh, you almost missed it as Emily finds another. It was chaotic again, but it's GX3 on top.
GX3, their retakes are so strong with their Breach utility comboed with the Astra util as well. Ali's Grav Wells going big as well as just the flashpoints in that round. And it makes me wonder, how did we never see that on the attacker side? They look so coordinated, they look so good on these executions, but they can never pull it off when they were on the attack. But who cares? They're winning them now. They're staying alive for the moment. Only 5 rounds. And TSM, well, they've got to start thinking for a second here. It still is just that 1 round to close out, but they're actually putting a pretty good investment into this one. 3 sheriffs across the board, 2 rifles, though, bought up. So this stays dangerous. GX3, they need to stay on their toes.
You see those assists, 16 for Leah, 11. Or 16 for Leah. I think I said that. And 11 for Lacey. So the Breach is really getting a whole lot out of their utility as a whole. And again, just supplementing their team in the best way possible, especially when you find that kill, right? Leah picked up a kill early out towards A main, punishing Athena for trying to lurk up just a bit too early. So we'll see if that still rings true as 3 players play out towards this A site this time around. A lockdown is available, and unfortunately for GX3, it's not in their hands. See how that one gets played. It's over towards the A site for now. Kath looking to creep up towards mid. It's that same style 5-point stance default coming out of TSM. This time it's 2 out towards mid with the spike in tow here.
Actually found their way up into vents and are wrapping A. This is going to end in a split most likely. Maddie is wary that this is a possibility, so is holding on, but it is a matter of timing. They've made their way up, and Maddie's not swinging just yet.
She's not fast now. With the blast back, the blinds come through. Maddie and Jay able to hop on the board. Lacey right there behind them. 3 quick kills. Swing things heavily in favor of GX3. Make it a 4. Zoe, the last one standing here. Now trying to get some kind of value. Not able to do it. The teammates come through, but I feel like we're not doing our due diligence if we don't also throw in a secret lab flawless on that round for GX3.
4 rounds, Tanner. That's all that's separating them right now. And well, TSM, for good reason, is going to take this tack because things are getting rocky. This is a good chance for them to close out because they have that, the lockdown, they have that showstopper, they have all the tools in the tool set needed. And I kind of want to think opposite of what we were talking about with GX3, because for GX3, all they ever did was play slow. All they ever did was default, and I'd love to see TSM slow things down a little bit. Try throwing a flank, try throwing a fake, try throwing something new at this, because right now they're just kind of mid-rounding into hard executes. It's not really working out in their favor, so they've had their moment. They get to chat with Zek, and they'll have this game plan to have another one of these 4 opportunities to close out in regulation.
So this is what I'm expecting to see here. It's obviously a little different because you don't have the same composition, but I'm expecting TSM off the back end of this timeout, which again, a lot of credit for GX3 for forcing TSM. This time, it's not an actual tech pause, right? It is attack. So for forcing TSM into the situation where they feel like they need a breather, they need to kind of slow things down. But I assume off the back end of this, just like we saw in Icebox, they just go all out, sight hit altogether. Obviously, you see Athena kind of lurking across the map, but I think we see something quick towards B here. Well, okay, as quick as it can be with the Astra utility.
Yeah, looking like it here. Lacey with the flashpoint up forward, and Maddie trying to take this fight. I like that GX3 is claiming some space here, and it's all just to get this resurrection for Dan. This ultimate can be so impactful, but look at this, an ult of Kath's own, a showstopper to re-clear main.
And not as much aggression as I was assuming, but that much noise out towards the B site. You've got 4 players here from GX3, only one holding it down towards A. I think very soon here, we're going to see Athena find some contact on that side of the map. And TSM, I thought we'd see something quick, but incredibly slow here. Very methodical off the back end of that timeout. And this is one of those timeouts that we do see. You know, it's on a buy round. So TSM looking to close it out right here, right now. And they've got 2 ultimates to do so. Because they're taking so long, GX3, they're kind of figuring this one out. They're sniffing out. They're saying, hey, let's kind of spread our numbers a bit. As the Cosmic Divide comes through. Lockdown still available. And Annie gonna be stuck on the site. Nice grab. Ball gonna keep her at for a second. She pulls out the knife at the worst possible moment, and the re-equip not in time. Kath to find the first kill.
Good start now. Plant will come through for TSM, and they find themselves in advantage. Resurrection is up for GX3 to work with, and so is their breach of Lacey, but she only has one flash point to work with. Has to go huge with it. It's a lockdown instead to get things going.
The lockdown trying to stop the team from pushing on. Should buy a couple more seconds. They want to push right through it. Goes. We spot one go in. They able to find that kill on to Maddie. The detain comes through, and I'm not sure what Lacey was hoping for. It definitely isn't it. Off the back end of a tactical timeout. The last remaining was Ali. She was detained for a moment, now taken down. It's a secret lap flawless to close us out, and it's a flawless series for TSM.
TSM, great performance from them. They complete the 2-0. They go back against a foe that took them to the final hour. Well, now they have themselves a date booked with Cloud9 White tomorrow. And well, for GX3, it's a little unfortunate because that first map was so close, Tanner. They had that opportunity to close out, but once we came to split, just wasn't looking that good. But to break everything down, we got Saj back with us.
I am back indeed, and my goodness, that was, I won't necessarily say a comeback, but TSM, they made it a little bit scary, but they performed.
Yeah.
This was the map that they lost to GX3 in the qualifiers. So the fact that they came in prepared, they made sure that everything got done here. But hey, let's do a quick recap. Looking at it overall, Mimi, we're going over the replays right now. What happened with GX3 here? This was their map.
They played so slow, dude. They never picked up the pace. They never adapted. Well, TSM, it's annoying to play against a team that plays like that, but they were just very ready for it. Their defensive side was so incredibly strong, and well, they struggled once they got over to the attack. GX3 looked like they had an opportunity to take it back in, but it's a 10-2 half. You're really not going to be able to come back into that advantage.
Yeah, and it was, you know, a story told in 2 parts and 2 maps from Kath to Ath. Now, I know it wasn't all Athena on that second map, and it wasn't all Kath on the first map, but when you take a look back at what really mattered in a lot of these rounds, obviously what we saw in Icebox was Kath finding multi-kill after multi-kill after multi-kill. I kind of made that Queen Bee joke on Icebox. Kath was holding it down. This time, it wasn't so much holding it down. It wasn't so much, winning every single fight, but it was Athena always being a problem. It was lurking over towards A. It was lurking out towards mid. It was finding kills in the post plants like we saw. Obviously, we saw that 4K spray down out towards mid, and I feel like Athena was really a driving force. Maybe not at the top of the leaderboards. I didn't check the scoreboard there at the end, but I think Athena was able to open up so much space for her squad here in this one. And then, like Mimi said, just playing slow. We saw rounds where the clock again is kind of getting run out. And the things that we kind of hyped up GX3 about was, their Zoomer style, their ability to kind of just get in and play the Fortnite game, Sage walls, jet up drafts, all that good stuff. And we just didn't see it here.
Absolutely. And, given like you bringing that up, I'm actually curious to see who's going to take the crown here for the NYX Cosmetics MVP once we get that information up for you on that screen. And look at that, Tanner. You called it. It is Athena on the Astra. Cosmetics MVP on that side, but just look at the numbers, look at the information here, Tanner, as far as how TSM performed. Like, they did not look like that team that we saw in the open qualifiers when they lost out on that, and that's an Astra just fragging out, providing all of that space, like you said, and it really, really solidified this win for TSM.
So I think even with the changes that are coming up to Astra, the one strength that you really get is the ability to use your abilities anywhere on the map. So you don't necessarily have to go or have to have your Sentinel lurk, right? You had, I believe it was Zoe playing the Killjoy in this one, with the team, lockdowns, nano swarms. Mimi brought it up in that series or on the attacking side. It was the pistol round specifically, but then I felt like it was for the rest of that attacking side for TSM that they were just out utilitying, which is rough to say, GX3. They were just beating them in utility. Every time they were able to make a take, it was using the utility to clear out the corners that they needed to, whether it be nano swarms, whether it be aftershocks. I think Athena on this Astra was just so strong again and kind of opening up some of the space. And the MVP on the opposite side, right, you saw at the top of the kill feed was Jan on the Sage. I love that Jan did well on the Sage. I would love to see a more supportive player play the Sage for this GX3 roster and put Jan on something that really does just go absolutely bananas, right? Open up the Reyna here, maybe even the Jet if Maddie's not feeling it, whatever it may be, because although we love frags on the Sage, it's not the same, right? The selfish heals that you have to use playing at the duelist style. I would really love to see her on something where she can shine a bit more and then save the Sage for somebody more supportive.
Yeah, I feel like they just struggled to get the aggression going, and I like what you're saying about maybe putting Jan on a duelist. Maddie felt like she was kind of in a cage that game. Like, there was never really the opportunity for us to see the Maddie pop-off where she went crazy. And I think they were leaning a little bit too much into this default destructured style. I think they need to let some of these individuals loose a little bit more, because when they played so slow, when they played so structured, it just really wasn't working. So that's definitely a map for GX3 to look at, to go back to the drawing board, and we'll try and study up for this lower bracket appearance.
For sure, but coming up right now, it's something that I'm very excited that we get to do, of course, is the Verizon the player interviews. And we do have, I believe, Kath, Verizon post-match interview. We have Kath, the captain of TSM. Hello, how are you?
Hi everybody, I'm pretty good. How are you guys?
I don't know if we can hear you.
Hello.
Hold on.
Kath, hello?
Hello?
Testing. Let's see if our
Hello.
We're
Okay.
getting her figured out. We can see her at least. We're gonna have to communicate with hand signals or something. Kath, hello? Can you hear us now?
Yeah,
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Our producers are working on the audio.
There we go.
But
I think we got her.
Hello.
Hi. There
hello.
Hi, we got you. Hello. So congratulations first off for making it through the first day, and I kind of just wanted to start things off. I wrote my little notes here for you as far as that one. So we touched up on it at our post match. Is that this was the map that TSM lost to GX3 in the group stages. So I'm just a little bit curious, like, as far as knowing that that went down, knowing that this is going to be a rematch, is there any mental or team adjustments that you go through as a group to prepare, knowing that you're coming into this again, knowing that they're most likely going to be putting you on that map again?
Yeah, so we prepared for exactly like these three maps or these two maps to play. We anticipated the veto. We also reviewed like our split game against them in the qualifier, and we practiced split a lot during like the 2 days we had before this event or this game. So we touched up on everything we needed, and here we are. Got the W.
Oh, of course, yeah, and that prep definitely worked out, so that's awesome. And I kind of just to transition a bit more towards that and to kind of expand on what I asked is, as the captain of TSM, like, what would you say is when you come into situations like this, like say, you're coming into a rematch or this is your $50,000 on the line, what would your strongest leadership quality be for yourself as far as what you bring to the team? Like, how do you ground your team? What do you do as a captain? I'm sure like a lot of people in the audience would be curious about that.
I feel like it's not only me that brings the good vibes. I feel like a lot of us are just like trying to calm people down during like the close rounds. Icebox was closer than what we thought it would be. We always have that like first map struggle every time. We like have like a hard time coming up with the momentum, but we actually came back. I think it's just like it's about playing with confidence most of the time in these matchups. It's not like really who has the best strategy or who has like the best map control. I think in like the female tournaments, it's about confidence most of the time. So I feel like I try to like keep the team grounded up to like, all right, everybody chill. Like we're winning 11-3, So just keep the comms up, play cool, calm, and collected, and it's pretty much what I repeat to the team speak.
Oh man, I mean, those are words that I think everybody needs to hear sometimes. So I would personally love a personal captain to tell me that in my games. But okay, I'm gonna toss it off to I believe Mimi. You have a question as well for Kat.
And if I may, I might want to throw two at you. And I just want to start off by asking, so GX3, they play so slow, so defaulty. What was it like kind of adapting around their incredibly slow playstyle and being able to shut that down on your defensive side?
Oh, that's a really good question, because I feel like that's kind of like our nemesis in a way. We are like such aggressive players, especially me coming from like a CSGO background. I really like going in there, like entering and really like getting into other people's faces. And I really feel like this is kind of like our nemesis. So again, like we spoke about our matchup against them, and we really came out, all right, guys, they play slow. Keep it slow. Like we always have to like have a leash almost on everybody to not stop pushing. All right, we're up 5v4. Stop pushing. We're good. Yeah. It's always like something we have to remind when we're playing the round. So it's difficult, but we like our team. I feel like is really good. We're really able to adapt very well. So that's like a really strong point that we have. Yeah.
And just quickly, before we do let you get out of here and prepare for tomorrow, you're going up against Cloud9 White in the upper bracket. They're kind of the giant of this tournament. Everyone likely expecting them to take it home. What are your expectations going into that one? Do you think TSM can take that home?
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%. Like we worked really hard. We haven't stopped like working on our mistakes, and I've said this previously, we're a team that's able to point each other's mistakes without like taking it bad. So we've improved so much since the last VCT, and we're just ready to show what we got.
Wonderful. I mean, thank you so much, Kath, for joining us in this Verizon post-match interview. So, I mean, take that deserved break, but I'm sure you are all going to be prepping for tomorrow. But, have a little bit of snack time in the meantime. But again, thank you so much.
Thanks to you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kath.
Oh, yeah, thank you. And with that before we close things out for our best of 3 and go on a break, we do still have one more best of 3 coming up. It is the lower bracket. It will be, I believe, GX3 coming in after this series, taking on Just Breathe. But before we close things out, we have a giveaway happening right now. The amazing folks over at Secret Lab are running a giveaway. You can get a chance to win one of these amazing, like the Omega chairs, like the stuff. It's really comfortable. I am melting in my chair. It is wonderful. So be sure you get your shot. Claim yourself one of these chairs. Check it out. It's dig.link/secret lab for a shot to get that Omega 2020 stealth. You will not regret it. I mean, honestly, it probably adds a couple of, stats points like into your gaming, whatever game it is that you choose to play. I know when I play Valorant with this, I tend to sit in the upper part of the scoreboard instead of the bottom half. Not that I'm saying the chair contributes, but I'm pretty sure it does. So be sure you all get your shot at that. And with that, we're gonna take a quick short break, be back for the lower bracket matches coming at you. So sit back,